When was it exactly? Was it when I was severely depressed? I remember a truck full of pigs heading to the slaughterhouse. Every time the truck turned, the herd of pigs tumbled helplessly, wailing. I watched them and cried uncontrollably. How self-indulgent I was at that moment. Back then, I didn't know that one day my fate would be worse than those pigs. The roar of the crowd came. Their reflections were in my eyes. Maybe I was crying for them, or maybe it was because the villain in the novel I was reading was just too pathetic. He was so tragic, so pitiful. The figure in the cage was the villainess, Haley. The angry crowd roared, "You wicked woman, just die. Haley, may you suffer for eternity in hell." Other curses rang out. Trash like you should disappear from this world. Haley's eyes widened in terror. The final curses pierced her eardrums. Go die in that barren castle. You good for nothing. Trash like you belongs in a garbage dump. Oh, Haley, why did you live like that? Even if it was for others. Could you really not see where this path would lead? You killed for someone, cursed others to make another king. You even bore the infamy for others. And the people you helped became the heroes of this world. They abandoned you. They betrayed you. They killed you. From the villainess's perspective, it was a short tragedy. Thus, the protagonist seemed utterly detestable, an abandoned villainess. And now, I've become her, the villainous Haley Marin. The carriage jolted. Haley complained, "When are we going to get there? At this rate, my butt is going to be bruised." A guard cut her off sharply. "Shut up." Haley spoke again. "This is the Casnatula border, right? I am Haley Marin." The guard responded coldly, "Stop playing dumb. Do you think that will change anything?" An older guard stopped his companion. "Wait, don't talk to that woman. You'll get cursed." "A curse? If I really am Haley, then I can't complain." She gripped the bars with both hands, thinking, all right, let's see what this crazy woman is capable of. Haley suddenly rushed towards the cage bars, reaching out to grab the guard's collar. The young guard struggled, screaming, "Let go. I said let go." She glared at the older guard. "It's cold. Give me your cloak, or I'll curse you." The older guard thought, what a temper. He waved his hand. "Fine. Give it to her and shut her up." The carriage jolted forward again. Haley sat in the cage, wrapped in the cloak. She thought, what a twisted life. Transmigrating into a novel is one thing. But why is the villainess who's about to die? This is too cruel. The villainess in the novel, Haley Marin, a witch who only craved love. She lacked love, yet pretended to be strong. Pathetic and pitiful, mercilessly used by people, and in the end, branded with countless infamous titles. The greedy monster, the enemy of 3 kingdoms. The threat to the nobility. Not long after, she was beheaded. A murderer who used forbidden magic and caused countless people to suffer. Send her to Marin Castle. Let her die alone. She was sentenced to a fate more painful than death, to become the most notorious villainess in history. All 3 kingdoms wanted to execute her, but the church refused. They said that with her forbidden magic, even beheading couldn't guarantee her death. So, they sent her to the desolate Marin Castle. On that land contaminated by demonic energy, breathing the corrupted air, she would become a walking corpse, eventually forgetting even who she was. Prisoners who couldn't be publicly executed were all given the name Marin and then abandoned there. Haley gripped the bars. She said to the older guard, "Hey, mister, what was the name of that country whose king died? Can you tell them I wasn't the one who killed him? It was his wife who poisoned him. I just don't want to be framed." The young guard looked confused. The older guard snorted, "It's useless trying to sway us. We're protected by the church." Haley demanded loudly, "Then at least give me some money before you dump me." The guard laughed, "That's hilarious. I heard you earn enough money from your crimes to build a country." Haley retorted, "That's just a rumor. I have no idea where Haley hid the money." The guards turned to leave. The older guard said to his companion, "She's going to die anyway. Within a year. I told you not to bother with her." A guard untied the ropes that were here. The carriage stopped at the edge of a cliff. Below was the raging sea. "This doesn't look like Marin Castle." Haley gripped the bars and looked out. "Hey, are we here? This is strange. There isn't even a deserted street." The original story begins after Haley is abandoned at Marin Castle. So I don't know this part. The sound of wood cracking was heard. So this is how she was sent over. A guard's voice rang out, "Haley Marin, repent on this cursed land until you breathe your last." Then the prison cart was pushed off the cliff. Another guard's voice was heard. "The Lord will watch over you." Are you kidding me? No way. Are they really going to throw me off a cliff? Haley screamed, "You bastards." The prison cart plunged into the sea. On the cliff, the guards looked down. One guard whispered, "Go to hell, you filthy murderer." The prison cart sank into the deep sea. Bubbles rose continuously. Haley struggled in the water, unable to breathe. The pain was unbearable. Am I really going to die like this? Hey, Haley, how did you survive? Since you gave me your body, you should have given me your abilities too. I'm a transmigrator. Please, anything will do. A tree root extended in the water. This is it. I have to grab it. Even if I'm going to die, I'll struggle until the very last moment. She struggled to grab the root. A surge of power flowed through her. The water cleared. The demonic energy is disappearing. No, it's seeping into my body. What's happening? She felt her body being purified. The current calmed. She was pulled out of the water. What just happened? It feels like I absorbed the demonic energy. But wasn't Haley supposed to have lost her magic? Whatever. I'm alive. A voice screamed out. That hurts. I almost died, you know. Who pulls someone's hair that hard? But seriously, how did you survive? The little tree spirit asked in surprise. Have you finally come to purify this place? Can my people come back now? This strange kid. I have no idea what he's talking about. My head is spinning. Wait, he said I grabbed his hair. Could it be that he's the tree root I grabbed earlier? Haley felt weak. I don't know. It's enough that I'm alive. I'm Haley. The little tree spirit replied. I'm Jigung. Haley said, as for your question, I don't know what you mean. Jigung explained, you grabbed me and purified me. I was about to die in that contaminated lake. Haley muttered, purified? Does that mean I absorbed the demonic energy? That's pretty amazing. Jigung looked at her and said, since I'm your savior, can I ask you for a favor? Take me with you to Marin Castle. The night was deep in the forest. Jigung asked, you said your name is Haley, right? Jigung sat on a branch and said, Marin Castle is in a contaminated land. It's a half-day's walk from here. You can barely see it. The mountains there are rugged, with no paths for humans. But if you really want to go, I know the way. I can at least guide you. He whispered, thank you for saving me in that contaminated land. Haley shifted slightly. Jigung jumped in fright. What? Are you still asleep? I was just talking to myself. Strange. I definitely felt a gaze just now. He looked up. In the darkness, a pair of red eyes lit up. Jigung trembled in fear. How could I forget? This place is full of corpses and monsters. I slept for too long. I forgot everything. A demonic rabbit lunged. Jigung screamed, no. Help me. I'm going to die. I was just purified, and now I'm really going to die. A dazzling blue light erupted. Haley's hair turned silver white. A holy light enveloped them. A blue aura spread out. The light consumed everything. The rabbit. What was that? Was that just a rabbit contaminated by demonic energy? Because it touched that human, it was purified. Does that mean other contaminated creatures can also be purified by this person's power? Jigung stared at Haley. The white rabbit was affectionately nuzzling her cheek. Who is this person? What kind of power does she have? The tree spirit, back from the brink of death, came to a conclusion. This woman is suspicious. Very suspicious. Jigung clenched his small fists. All right. He made up his mind. To live to a ripe old age, I have to stay by this person's side. Haley woke up. She looked at Jigung.so. I'm the one who purified that rabbit. Really? How did I do that? Jigung prostrated himself on the ground. He shouted in frustration. How can you not know anything? I thought you'd be able to leave once you woke up. You little rascal. I thought you were watching over me out of loyalty. Turns out you can't go anywhere without me. Jigung said, since you know, why don't you try it yourself? Haley fell into thought. I'm all right. She recalled. First, the place where I lay. Those unusually vibrant weeds should have been crushed by me, but they're even more lush than before. And the purified burdock root I was holding. In that case, if I touch other living things. She touched a large tree. A glow of life bloomed from its base. A glimmer of understanding passed through Haley's eyes. Oh, that's it. I can purify just by touching. Upon contact, my body automatically absorbs the demonic energy. Haley, you're amazing. That's right, this is it. I knew it. Haley raised her hands in the air. That I really do have a special and amazing ability, she thought smugly. How could a body with no abilities be possessed? Jigung was confused. What do you mean, amazing? But he knew for sure that she possessed an unheard of power. Jigung asked, were you an amazing person on the outside too? Haley was at a loss for words. Jigung pressed on. Then how did you end up here? Haley answered with a bitter smile. Not that amazing. Just a little famous. And because of that, I did some bad things. I was supposed to be executed, but I survived here. I am Haley Marin, the villainous supporting character in the novel I was in. As a transmigrator, I'm going to hide on this land forever. I don't want to die a miserable death after a year like the original owner. As a transmigrator, my motto is to live a long, low-profile life. Haley turned and said, let's go. just as those people wished, to the abandoned castle in the center of the contaminated land. Life doesn't have to be luxurious. I don't mind being lonely. The important thing is to survive. The protagonist will save the world anyway, and I, who possess the body of a villainess everyone hates, should probably self-isolate for everyone's sake. Her foot slipped and she fell to the ground. A plant withered by her hand. She touched a flower and it was instantly purified. Haley's eyes lit up. She turned back to Jigung and said, "Let's try touching things as we walk. Wouldn't it be great if something gets purified?" Jigung was stunned. "How can you be so careless? What if you run out of energy before we reach our destination?" Jigung reminded her, "The temperature will drop after sunset. Do you really want to camp in a contaminated forest in wet clothes?" Haley looked at the red eyes around them. She cried out in panic, "What? I don't want to camp here. When will we get there?" Jigung replied, "We still have half a day's journey." "Get up," Jigung suggested. "Let's go to Marin Castle first and find a place to settle down." Haley looked at him and said, "You're so smart." Jigung retorted, "You're the stupid one." Haley said, "Should I purify you too?" Jigung lowered his head and said, "I'm sorry." And so they continued through the treacherous path filled with monsters, finally reaching their destination, the place where they would live from now on, Marin Castle. The two stood before the castle. Haley let out a sigh of relief. "Good thing we made it before sunset." Jigung covered his mouth and said, "Let's hurry inside. The air outside is too bad. I feel sick." Haley was unconcerned. "Maybe it's because of all the trees, but I find it refreshing. Let's go in." Haley pushed open the heavy doors. A thick, purple demonic energy rushed out. She smiled amidst the energy, but Jigung's eyes widened in terror. Jigung trembled. He let out a scream. The inside of the castle was filled with pure demonic energy, much worse than outside. The concentration of demonic energy was suffocating Jigung. "That I'm going to die here. What's the use of a roof if the air is this foul?" So this was why Jigung was complaining. But for someone hiding from the world, this might be the best place. A glint of determination shone in Haley's eyes that I will purify this castle with my own hands. I will use my extraordinary ability to purify this Marin Castle and turn it into a comfortable place where I can live out the rest of my life. 1 year later, the sun was shining brightly. The castle was completely transformed. Haley and Jigung were strolling in the garden. Haley said while watering the plants, "What's the point of getting angry or making sacrifices? Clinging to the past only ruins the future. That's the wisdom left by the sages." You don't need a sage to tell you that. Perhaps for someone who has lived for 100 years. But life is short and we are forced to make choices. Is Haley also repeating those foolish actions? Jigung suddenly noticed something. He pointed to a plant. "Haley, come look. It's finally bloomed. The strawberries are finally ripe." Haley's smile was radiant. The surroundings were lush and full of life. The tree spirit I picked up a year ago turned out to be a great farmer. It was fun planting strawberries with Jigung. Butterflies fluttered by, and the air was filled with a sweet fragrance. Haley laughed heartily. "I can't even tell if I'm in a novel or if I've transmigrated to a pastoral countryside." She looked at Jigung. "Hey Jigung, wouldn't it be nice if we lived here together forever?" Jigung froze. He asked softly, "Just the two of us?" Jigung's face turned bright red. He pointed at Haley. "What nonsense are you spouting? You wicked person. Stop talking nonsense and give me the strawberries you're hiding behind your back. It's hard enough to get food on this purified land. I'm hungry." Haley handed him the strawberries. "Here, eat up, you sly little spirit." After a year of purifying the withered castle, I finally understood. What I've been doing is less like purification and more like devouring. Haley caressed her stomach. "Thanks to this body that can survive on demonic energy, I haven't starved to death." Haley originally had beautiful red hair, but after purifying the castle's demonic energy, her hair turned jet black. Did the original Haley also survive by eating demonic energy? But the novel skipped that part, so we'll never know. Through daily effort, I've restored the backyard and the stone paths. But to fill my stomach, I have to walk to the edge of the contaminated zone. What a pain. Haley gazed at the black lake in the distance. If I keep this up, maybe that lake will be purified one day. I'm the type of person who plays farming mobile games to the very end. If this were a game, I'd definitely hoard free coins like a squirrel and watch ads every hour. I wish another spirit would show up. Jigung is good at farming. This time, I hope for a shy one who's good at cooking and cleaning. In this vast Marin territory, I am the only human. The rest are contaminated plants, monsters, and walking corpses. A pale-skinned man walked out of the darkness, his eyes vacant. Haley screamed in terror. A zombie! Get away! The man staggered and grabbed her wrist. Haley shouted in fear, "Get off me! This is my territory!" He grabbed me. "If I purify him, maybe I can survive." The man gripped her wrist. His voice was cold. "Where's Haley Marin? I'm here to kill her." Haley's heart skipped a beat that he knows me. Who is he? The man's eyes were filled with hatred. The woman who destroyed my family. The moment I heard those words, I understood. I understood this man's true identity. He's one of the male leads from the original story. A man who hates Haley, and the man who will eventually kill Haley. Haley struggled. "Wait, Ricard." Winter. Ricard suddenly lost consciousness and collapsed on her. Haley was bewildered. Why did he collapse here? Haley panted. Finally dragged him back. "It's all Jiging's fault for making me go out to purify things, and I ran into this guy. More importantly, aren't I a transmigrator? My actions are different, so shouldn't the storyline change?" Jiging shrieked, "Are you crazy? Why did you drag back a corpse?" Haley replied, "He's not dead yet, though he looks like he's about to be. He'll become a real corpse soon enough." Ricard lay on the ground, his breathing shallow, his face pale. "Did I curse you? You trampled on my heart, repaying my love and devotion with betrayal. For the mountain of corpses I raised for you, for the weight of that sin, for the tears I shed for you, may you regret it. May you suffer for a long, long time." In a novel, it's okay to have a few husbands. The one who created the demon was Haley. Abandoned in Marin Castle, she spent a year cursing the entire world until a man came and killed her. Haley's death became the final key for the demon's appearance, turning Marin Castle into the demon's cradle. The demon was born from Haley's anger, sorrow, and fear, feeding on her emotions. The demon escaped the contaminated zone and committed all sorts of atrocities, forcing the female lead and the 4 male leads who love her to embark on a journey. The demon king-level male lead killed Haley and left Marin Castle. After losing his humanity, he joined the female lead's party. Haley looked at Ricard and thought, "That's right, it's this guy, Ricard Winter." Jigung crouched down and said, "He's been contaminated by demonic energy. If we had found him any later, he'd be wandering around like the corpses outside. Still, it's amazing. A normal person would lose their mind within a day of entering, but he's held on this long and is still the same." Haley replied, "Because he's a male lead." Jigung looked puzzled. "Later, he will awaken as a half-demon, unable to live in the sunlight forever. He'll linger around the female lead and eventually commit suicide." Jigung looked at Haley. "There you go again. Stop spouting nonsense and think of something." Jigung said, "He's not completely contaminated yet. If you purify him now, he might wake up immediately. Are you going to keep him here?" Haley looked at Ricard. "That's the problem. The moment he wakes up, he'll want to kill me." Jigung was anxious. "Miss Haley." Haley cut him off. "Did I know? You don't have to rush me. I was planning to save him anyway, though I'd much rather he not wake up in my backyard. But I have no choice." Haley placed her hand on Ricard's chest. A golden light shone. "The reason I'm purifying Ricard, even though I know he's here to kill me, is because he's the only innocent victim among the 4 male leads. His family was massacred, and he was the sole survivor. He dedicated himself to revenge. Therefore, his hatred for Haley is justified." Haley felt the demonic energy within him. The amount of demonic energy he carried was astounding. How long had he been wandering the contaminated zone? "I'll help him this one time, then send him away quickly. No matter how pitiful he is, getting entangled with an original male lead is something I absolutely refuse to do." The purple demonic energy was dispelled. Ricard's eyes shot open and he grabbed Haley's shoulders. Haley was startled. Ricard demanded, "Where is this? Tell me, where did you bring me?" Haley thought in panic. How could he wake up so fast? Jigging screamed, "Miss Haley, the ungrateful wretch who kidnapped Miss Haley." Haley said, "Why are you awake? My plan to have him hide is ruined." Ricard grabbed Jigung. "Did I ask this Marin Castle? What are you doing in a place like this?" Haley answered, "Farming, cleaning, cooking, doing laundry." Ricard was incredulous. "Don't tell me you live here." Haley confirmed, "Yes, that's right." Ricard asked, "Then who are you?" Haley froze. "He doesn't recognize me? Ricard Winter doesn't recognize me? This is impossible." Haley suddenly remembered that in the original story, he came to Marin Castle, killed Haley, and simultaneously awakened as a half-human, half-demon, and lost all his memories. But this time, what if the amnesia isn't from becoming a half-demon, but a side effect of the demonic energy and purification mixing and invading his brain? That would explain why he doesn't remember anything. He's really forgotten. forgotten? Including the fact that I'm his mortal enemy. He's forgotten everything. A glint appeared in Haley's eyes. She smiled and said, I'm Haley, your savior. Ricard asked, Haley, you're the one who healed me. Haley nodded with a smile. Yes, yes. Haley thought gleefully, amnesia confirmed. And more importantly, tonight, I'm the one who will save your life again. Because the sun is about to set. Without my permission, you'd be wandering aimlessly in the contaminated zone outside. I can't give you any food, but I can at least give you a warm, soft bed. Just then, a sudden spring shower fell, as if celebrating my survival. Haley said to Ricard, let's go inside first. This way, Ricard. Ricard asked, puzzled, how do you know my name? Haley's eyes darted. You were muttering it in your sleep. Close call, quick thinking. A beautiful ancient castle stood in the center of the contaminated zone. For the past 100 years, no living creature has left this place alive. Measuring the level of contamination was also absolutely impossible. Ricard looked around. Marin Castle was completely different from the rumors. Any first-time visitor would be rendered speechless by this. Haley smiled and explained, curious? It's nothing. I just have a super amazing ability. She lightly touched the glowing wall with her fingertip and ripples spread out. I remember how hard I worked just to survive. After numerous purifications, there are now no places in the castle that humans can't go. That demonic energy that would corrode a person's body on contact is no longer a problem. What we desperately need are fire and food. However, to this day, neither of these problems has been solved. In other words, our level of civilization is still stuck in the primitive stage. Rain poured in through a broken window, extinguishing the last of the fire. Ricard asked, Miss Haley, why did the fire go out? Jigging turned to Haley and said, between the two of us, who was in charge of watching the fire? Haley whispered, I didn't account for the rain. Jigging roared, I can't live like this anymore. You can't do a single thing right. I trusted you to watch the fire, and while I was out farming, he pointed at Haley and shouted, besides purifying contamination, what can you even do, Miss Haley? Jigung continued to roar, I have to do all the daily chores by myself? You can't make a fire, you can't farm, and you can't cook. Jigung continued to scold Haley. You don't even know what's broken in the castle, let alone how to fix it. Haley whispered an apology. I'm sorry. Haley immediately retorted, I'll just start the fire again. Stop nagging in front of guests. Jigging pointed at Ricard and yelled at Haley. Good point. Do you want to let our guests spend the night in the freezing cold? Make sure you get the fire started before bed. Haley's shoulders slumped. Does that mean I don't get to sleep? Jigung turned to leave that I'll go get some dry firewood. Don't you dare slack off. I've been watching the fire. I never slacked off. I'm just too diligent. Haley knelt on the ground, striking two stones together. Please light. Why isn't it working again? Is it because the air is damp? Ricard's voice came from behind. What are you doing? Haley replied without looking up, making a fire. Can't you tell? Ricard asked in disbelief. You're not trying to make a fire with two stones, are you? Haley looked up at him. Oh, what's wrong with that? It's worked occasionally before. Ricard was silent. He told her to move aside and then sat down beside her. Ricard took out a fire starter and struck it lightly. Sparks flew, and the kindling instantly caught fire. Haley watched in amazement that IT lit up just like that. Where did you get this? Ricard explained, this? You can find them at blacksmiths or general stores. I heard they're sold by traveling merchants. Haley asked curiously, is it expensive? Ricard replied, not expensive. Haley asked again, is it magic? If it has a fire-starting enchantment, it would be expensive. Haley watched the flame. Can it work this well without magic? I want one. I really want one. Ricard asked, if it's just for making a fire, why not buy a magic brazier that can burn semi-permanently? He explained, this is for travel, not for everyday use. Haley asked excitedly, there's something like that? A magic brazier? What an alluring phrase. So there are products of civilization in this world after all. Nothing in this old castle is in good condition. It's forced me to live like a primitive person, working from sunrise to sunset. Ah, Jigung, you're just in time. I was just telling Ricard. She suddenly stopped. Wait, what's with that expression? Impossible. Haley had never seen that expression on Jigung, even after living together for a year. Jigung smiled brightly at Ricard and said, Mr. Ricard, is that you? Would you like a strawberry? Late at night, Jigung was pulling at the blanket. Jigung complained, Miss Haley, it's cold. I said it's cold. Haley said, you seem happy covering yourself with my blanket. Why did you take it all? Haley curled into a ball, that you're the one who gave my blanket to that man first. And the strawberries. How many did you give him? You yelled at me for eating just one. Jigung retorted loudly. Who do you think we have to thank for being able to lie down like this? If it weren't for Lord Ricard's help, you'd still be striking stones together. Haley said excitedly, I'm not a pushover. Do you know how miserable it is to be treated differently when it comes to food? Jigung looked at her. All right, Miss Haley, I'll give you strawberries tomorrow. Now to go to sleep. Haley immediately asked, how many? Jigung's voice came from under the blanket. 5. You promised. Jigung said from the side. Are you that happy? Ricard stared at her. Who is this woman? Really? The same face, the same appearance. But she can't possibly be Haley Marin, that evil which would not show such a helpless and endearing smile. He recalled Jigung's words. Are you crazy? Why did you drag back a corpse? Haley had replied, he's not dead yet. Who is this woman? Doing chores with her slender wrists, living with a tree spirit, smiling so happily over just 5 strawberries, without a trace of malice in her eyes. She's not that evil witch Haley. She's more like another human who was wrongly imprisoned in Marin Castle. Ricard was lost in thought. It's so confusing. I was once the puppet of the Winter family. Ricard Winter, you think your life is your own? You're wrong. The family is your everything. Don't forget you were born for the family. Don't trust anyone. For one who bears the name Winter, loneliness is the only friend. A man of steel who moves only for the family. The perfect heir meticulously crafted by the Duke of Winter, not tarnish the family name. You must be perfect. Emotions are a sign of weakness. The heir of the Winter family has no need for such things. What is there to be confused about? The Winter family never hesitates because we always know the answer. I was raised to be the perfect heir my master desired, devoid of emotion, knowing no desires. I simply lived according to the family's will. Even when the Winter family fell, it was the same. Flames consumed our home. My father's voice rang in my ears. This is your final mission. Go and get revenge, Ricard, for our family's ancestors and our unjustly killed family members. On that witch, Haley, who destroyed our family with her schemes and plots. To me, revenge was a duty. Our home collapsed in flames. It wasn't sadness or loss, because I was driven only by duty and responsibility. I was prepared to die for revenge. The woman who truly killed me wouldn't even grant me an honorable death. He collapsed on the ground and asked weakly, why did you let me live? The witch looked down on him. This way, as long as you live, you won't forget what I've done. You act as if you have some sort of guilt. For someone who wiped out an entire family, isn't that a form of deception? Ricard pressed, what did you do this for? Did you get what you wanted? The witch sneered, that's none of your business. After that, I challenged her again and again, and was defeated again and again. As the failures piled up, the sense of duty for revenge gradually faded, until one day, all that was left was curiosity about her. It's ridiculous. I became so obsessed with the target of my revenge. For the first time in my life, I longed to understand another person. A few days later, an unbelievable piece of news arrived. The evil witch Haley had finally assassinated the king of the Holt Kingdom. She was captured by the Crown Prince of Holt and exiled to Marin Castle. The sentence had already been carried out. I couldn't believe it, that Haley could be captured by the Crown Prince of Holt. She was weakly dragged to her place of exile, a woman who seemed impossible to kill. Her end was merely exile. My battle ended so futilely. I lost my purpose in life and no longer had any responsibilities to bear. At first, I tried to live on. I tried to forget her. A man said to me, since you've never been a mercenary, why not start with a simple escort mission? I changed my name, my job, and my environment to forget my family and live an ordinary life. A day passed, a month passed, a year passed. It was only then that I realized I had nothing left. A life without challenging Haley was meaningless. For me, who was born to inherit the family, there was no self to begin with. Realizing this, there was only one choice I could make. I had to finish my unfulfilled revenge. I grabbed the reins of a horse. I'm going to Marin Castle to kill Haley and then kill myself. A roar came from behind. Catch that bastard guard. He stole a horse and ran off. That's a mercenary for you. Or so I thought. Haley shouted, Ricard, goodness, have you been chopping wood since morning? Jigung is such a meanie, making a guest do work. Ricard replied, I want to do it myself. My body will get rusty if I stay idle. Haley said, if you're that bored, you could just go for a walk. Ricard thought, what on earth am I doing? Haley said, more importantly, Ricard, do you want some strawberries? If you still have some of that jerky from yesterday, I can trade you. Yesterday, Haley and Jigung were eating the jerky. Haley exclaimed, I've never eaten anything so delicious. So this is called jerky. Ricard handed the last piece of jerky to Haley. This is the last one. Haley said happily. You gave me the last piece of jerky. Thank you. It's been a day since I arrived here. So far, I've been observing Haley nonstop. She shows her true self without any guard. I had suspected that the cunning witch was deceiving me, pretending to have lost her magic. But in that body that was supposed to have lost its magic, she was openly purifying the contamination. However, the more I observed, the more one thing became clear. Haley Marin has lost her memory. Haley was savoring the jerky, this sweet and sour taste of the human world. Jigen would be so happy too. Ricard thought she's even alive, despite having completely lost her magic and common sense. This isn't even partial amnesia. Can I still consider such a woman the target of my revenge? Haley stared at the jerky in her hand. Oh my, don't let it get any smaller. Is it right to judge this childlike person who knows nothing for crimes she doesn't remember? A woman who cries while eating seasoned jerky. My life's purpose has vanished, as if that person never existed. What should I do now? Is it right to just stay with this woman like this? To sort out this confused heart, I need to observe this woman first. I must experience it for myself before making a judgment. This might be an opportunity to determine my true feelings and whether my words calling Haley a villain were correct. Ricard finished the strawberry and said, "It's delicious." Haley asked, "Is there anything else I can help with?" Ricard's appearance brought a huge change to our lives. Like the god in mythology who brought fire to mankind, he gifted us a fire starter. In our miserable lives, it instantly lit a flame. And that jerky marinated in sweet sauce. On this sinful land where salt was the only seasoning, the first taste of sweetness was like a revolution for our taste buds. And the sin of tasting the forbidden fruit was that we could never go back to the days before we tasted it. I can't take it anymore. Haley grabbed Ricard's sleeve. She pleaded, "We need civilization." The three of them looked at each other. Haley shouted excitedly, "Say something if you have a mouth. Whether you came on horseback or by carriage. Since you could get here, there must be a road, right? Do you think just blinking is enough?" Ricard replied, "There's no road at all." Haley pressed, "Don't you have any companions? Didn't you hide a horse or a carriage somewhere before coming here?" Jigen retorted, "You're lying. There must be a shortcut. That's why this person was in a completely uncontaminated state when he was found. If we just purify the shortcut, go to the city won't be a problem." Ricard said, "A shortcut? There shouldn't be anything like that." Haley was speechless. After listening to my moving speech, "You're still going to be this uncooperative?" Haley suddenly flared up that, "Oh, you think I'll let you off just because you have amnesia? I saved you when you were about to die, and this is how you repay me? We'll starve to death before the potatoes even grow. Can you take responsibility for that?" Jigung interjected, "Haley, you're the one who traded the strawberries for jerky." Haley glared at Jigung. "Whose side are you on?" Ricard interrupted them. "That's not what I meant. I came here by looking at this." He unfolded a map. Haley leaned in to ask, "What's this?" Ricard explained, "It's a map. See this mark? I think this is the castle you're living in now." Haley snatched the map. "Give it to me." Jigging quickly apologized. Haley hasn't had flour in a long time, so her mind isn't right. "Look how thin she's gotten." Ricard said, "It's fine." Jigung said, "If we had seeds, we could farm, but we can barely bring anything in. Now that we have a map, we can find the way to the city. We can buy wheat seeds, chili peppers, sugar." Haley cut him off. "Jigung, that's not what's important right now." Haley's expression turned grave. Jigging asked, "What's wrong, Haley?" Haley's voice trembled. "I can't read the map." Jigging shouted, "There goes our jerky and flour. What's the difference between not being able to read a map and not being able to make a fire?" Ricard said calmly, "I can read a map." Jigging and Haley asked in surprise, "You can?" Ricard replied, "Yes." Haley asked again, "Then can you ride a horse? Can you drive a carriage?" Ricard smiled, "The carriage? How much stuff are you planning to buy?" I've never done it, but I probably can." Haley thought he smiled. Is he mocking me for saying I can do anything? But Marin Castle basically maintains a policy of isolation. This is an emergency. We decided to accept help from an outsider. The primitive era is over. To put it dramatically, it's time to bring civilization to Marin Castle. Jigging instructed, "Please be careful on the road. You can't just change the route. You can't pick up things to eat. You can't help anyone, and you can't follow anyone." Haley asked, "Am I a child?" Jigging said, "I'm sorry. He really treats me like a child." Ricard interrupted their farewells. "That's enough goodbyes. Let's get going." Ricard walked ahead, with Haley following closely behind. She thought, he was on the verge of death yesterday. How can he be so reckless? He's just walking like that, inhaling demonic energy with his whole body. And ever since we first met, I feel like he takes steps that are too big. "Hey, wait up. Let's go together." Haley suddenly tripped. Ricard caught her and said, Don't run. Haley complained. Weren't you the one who told me to hurry? Ricard explained, I think we should shorten our time on the road in the demonic energy. The amount of demonic energy that can be purified in a day is limited. It's impossible to clear a path. We should go out, buy what we need, and then slowly clear the path while consuming those supplies. Haley said, what about you? At this rate, you'll be a corpse before you even reach the town. I'm just trying to avoid the worst-case scenario. Ricard asked, so you want to keep me alive until I'm about to die, and then let me die again while I'm alive? Haley said, do you think I'm some kind of pervert? Ricard asked, pervert? What's that? Haley said, nothing. Haley held out her hand and said, I don't usually like holding hands with people, but this is a special situation. It can't be helped. Take my hand. I'll purify you. That way you won't get corrupted on the way. Ricard stared at her. Ricard waved his hand that it's really fine. Haley asked, you really won't take it? Ricard smiled that I said it's fine. Haley thought, all right then. Self-reliance and independence it is. Walking on the corrupted land, stepping on withered trees. It's not exactly a romantic journey. It's not too bad. The sky is still blue, and the clouds are still white, just like the sugar and flour waiting for me at the end of the road. The contaminated zone is worse than I thought. No matter how far we walk, it's just an endless forest. Haley complained, how much longer do we have to walk? I just want to sit down. Ricard replied, we're about halfway there. Haley asked, halfway? How do you know? Ricard replied, maybe you should try learning how to read map. Haley shouted angrily, learn? I've learned before, but I don't like studying. You want me to learn again? I hate studying. Ricard said, exasperated. Who said anything about studying? He pointed at the map. Look here. We're here now. You have to walk in this direction for another day. Are you listening to me? He saw Haley standing by the lake. Ricard was surprised. Rain began to fall. He called out softly, Haley. Haley stared at the lake's surface. But now, both the forest and the lake are lifeless, choked by the demonic energy that blocks the light. What a waste. At this rate, it will take a long time to absorb that dense demonic energy. But maybe one day, we can make that black lake blue again. If that day ever comes. Ricard ran over. What are you looking at? Don't look at the water. It's bad luck. Haley said softly, Ricard, if we could purify that lake, wouldn't it be beautiful? You can see everything from the top of Marin Castle. When it freezes in winter, when the weather is clear, it would be a spectacular sight. Ricard's gaze shifted. Haley continued, I have a dream. I want to live in a peaceful place. Plant jigong in Marin Castle, cultivate the land, and nurture life. In a scenery like that, it would be nice to have a beautiful lake too. If that lake were as clear as a mirror, we could even go boating in the summer. Ricard looked at her, thinking, what on earth are you? Haley continued to dream. Every morning, the forest would be filled with the sound of birdsong. Maybe deer would walk out, just like in a fairy tale. I would ride a white horse and stroll by the lake. Ricard interrupted her. Absurd. Don't underestimate me. Give me 10 years, and I'll make it happen. Ricard said, okay. Haley shouted, you're totally underestimating me. Just because you're a protagonist, you think you're so great? Is this how you treat your savior? Ricard repeated, I said okay. Ricard looked at her. Strange. She claims to have lost all her memories, yet she's so certain about what she wants. A kind of conviction and hope that I don't have. Where does such a wish come from? It's been 3 days since we left Marin Castle. After passing through continuous mountain forests, we finally reached a wide main road. Since then, we've been clearing the contaminated zone several times a day. Pale skin dripping with demonic energy, gray eyes as cloudy as ash. Like zombies. Most of them were rebels, plague victims, heretics. They were villains abandoned by the 3 kingdoms or the church. Ricard said, strange. They've been ignoring you since a while ago. It's as if they have no intention of harming you. Haley, have you tried purifying them? Haley replied, of course not. What if purifying them actually turns them back into humans? The zombies can't hurt me, but the thought of turning them back into people is even scarier. I won't purify them. They are twisted people. Ricard thought, then I'm really lucky. Haley asked, what do you mean? Are you happy to be treated like this? Do you want to try purifying them? Ricard replied, no, thanks. It's too much trouble. During our journey, whenever a zombie appeared, Ricard would cut them down. If the demonic energy contaminated him, I would step in to purify it. Ricard said, there's another one ahead. I'll handle it. You wait here. Haley thought, why shouldn't my eyes be wide open during dangerous times? I guess this is why he came here. Because he's suffered so much. But it's a good thing he hasn't forgotten how to use a sword. If he had forgotten the swordsmanship he honed for years, survival would become difficult. And for some reason, that would become my fault. Even though it's not. What a strange guy. He came here to kill the real Haley, but he's helping me, the fake one, and suffering because of it. Ricard moved forward with his injuries, never showing weakness, always walking ahead of me, grabbed my hand, and climb up. He gave me all the right berries and chewed on bitter roots himself without a word of complaint. Even though he was clearly more tired, he always let me sleep in the comfortable spot. Is he a pushover? That's a problem. I have a soft spot for good people. I still haven't told him that in this contaminated zone, I don't need to eat, drink, or sleep. What is with this body? Ricard called out to her, Haley. Haley replied. Ricard asked, do you know who you are? What you did in the past, and why you live alone in Marin Castle? Haley replied, why are you suddenly asking this? I really don't know. Ricard pressed, not remembering who you are, doesn't that make you uneasy? Haley replied, not really. Haley thought, what are you talking about? You're the one with amnesia. Ricard said seriously, listen, Haley, when we enter the human world, never tell anyone you're Haley, even if you know nothing about the real Haley. Wait, why can't I tell them I'm Haley? Didn't you say I lost all my memories? She thought, all right, I'll play along for now. To be honest, I really don't know who I am. I woke up in a prison cell. They threw me straight into the furnace. I struggled desperately to get to Marin Castle. Haley asked back, what about you? Do you know who you are? Ricard replied, I am the heir of the Winter family. Now they are all dead, so there's not much to say, except that I might still be on the wanted list in Bandies. Haley thought in surprise, wait, does he remember everything? After entering the contaminated zone, things got a bit chaotic. I can't explain why I risked my life to come here. I'm starting to wonder if everything I believed in was a lie. If the place I call home is nothing more than a sandcastle, Haley thought, so his memory is only partially gone. Haley exclaimed, Ricard, are you okay? Ricard was contaminated. Haley asked anxiously, if you were contaminated, you should have said so first. Why wait like a fool for me to come and evolve you? There's a limit to stupidity. If it had been any more serious, there would have been nothing I could do. She reached out and held his hand. Evolve, evolve. Get better quickly. Ricard Winter had lost half of his memories, yet he had become a surprisingly good companion, kind and considerate, and sometimes surprisingly gentle. Why would someone like him be treated as a walking tragedy in the original story? He's technically the protagonist. Would it kill them to give him a happy ending? Ricard watched Haley, thinking, even her sleeping posture is so pitiful. You poor thing. It's a good thing I found you in time. You didn't turn into a monster, and you still have some memories left. I can still evolve you like this. So hurry up and get your life back. I will lead us out of this contaminated zone and let you live a happy life. Confess to the female lead. Start an epic romance. Or conquer this land with your sword. Just don't end up as the tragic male lead anymore. Day broke. Haley asked Ricard how much farther it was. Ricard replied, we're here. Ahead is our destination, the production city of Selbin. Haley shouted excitedly. Finally, a shopping mall. I mean, a production city, civilization, there's really a way out. She looked at the city. But for a city, it looks pretty rundown. So Selbin has a blacksmith, right? And a general store. Maybe a bakery or a clothing store too. Ricard replied, I'm not sure about a clothing store, but it has the others. Also, remember what I told you. From now on, you can't say your name or you'll scare people. Ricard continued, you're my sister. Haley retorted, do you think that will work? We look nothing alike. You said you're wanted, right? Then you can't say you're Ricard Winter either. Ricard pushed open a door and said, be careful. Anyway, before we start shopping, let's fill our stomachs. A waitress greeted them warmly. Welcome. I haven't seen you two around before. The female shop owner brought over a plate of roasted chicken. Haley's eyes lit up. That's meat, the food of civilization. It's been so long. Ricard said, she seems to have been starving for a long time. Please prepare some food that's easy to digest. The shop owner replied, I'll bring something soft. The table was filled with food, freshly baked bread, a pot of steaming stew, thick cuts of meat and spices simmered into a rich broth. It tastes amazing. I'm going to savor every slice of bread, every single carrot. Ricard put down his utensils. I'm done. Haley looked surprised. What, you're already done? We just started eating. Ricard stood up. It's fine. Take your time. I'm more comfortable traveling alone anyway. But as soon as we get back to the castle, you're going to start learning to read and write. Haley lowered her head and replied, I know, just as planned. I told Ricard I can't read. But over the past year, I've already mastered this world's language. Every book in Morrowind Castle probably has my fingerprints on it. Haley picked up her cup and took a sip. The waitress came over and asked, where did your brother go? What brother? I'm the older sister. The waitress smiled and asked, oh really? Anyway, I made some dessert. Would you like to try some? Or would you like some other kind of dessert? Isn't that just dessert? They even serve dessert here. What a generous place. Haley took a bite. It tasted like sweet rice cakes. If I want more, she'll make it for me. Why is she being so nice to me? The shop owner said with a smile. A lot of terrible things have been happening lately. I was worried. I didn't expect to see a starving child. Oh, so they thought I was a beggar and gave me food. Looking at the state I'm in, I can't blame them. For the record, it's not that I don't have money. I'm actually filthy rich. I found a treasury in Marquee Castle. The treasury was filled with mountains of gold and treasure, but no clothes or food. I only have 2 sets of clothes right now. One was made from a stolen guard's cloak. The other was made by Kikyo from tree fibers. The dress is the one I'm wearing now. My original clothes fell apart in a month. Haley turned to the shop owner. Hey, I want to buy clothes. Where's the clothing store? The shop owner replied, everyone makes their own clothes here. Haley looked shocked. If Kikyo keeps making clothes, her skills should improve. Haley came to her senses. Then where do you get the fabric? The shop owner explained, from merchants from the big cities. We buy in bulk when they come, so you have some in stock. If you have any extra fabric, could you sell it to me? The shop owner readily agreed. Of course, come with me. We're an inn. We have a lot of fabric. As they walked up the stairs, the shop owner asked curiously, your brother doesn't even buy you clothes? Haley immediately retorted, he's not my brother. Haley continued, he just found me at the entrance to the forest. But before we part ways, I want to repay him. The shop owner interrupted her. Oh dear. The shop owner laughed. There's nothing better than money. She's so wise. I've learned a valuable lesson. Haley took out a gold coin. Then trade this for some fabric. The shop owner was stunned. Is this real gold? It looks a bit different. Haley thought it's from 100 years ago, but it's real. I found these old coins in the Marquee Castle treasury. Fatima bit the gold coin to confirm its quality. It's different from modern currency because it was minted a long time ago, but gold is gold anywhere. Fatima was overjoyed. Oh wow, it's real gold. I guess you're much richer than you look. Fatima immediately sprang into action. I shouldn't keep you waiting. You said you need fabric. Sit here. I'm going to give you the clothes I don't wear too. As she rummaged through her wardrobe, she said, oh, my name is Fatima. You can call me whatever you like. Fatima went through her entire wardrobe and gave me 3 sets of clothes, as well as dried meat and almost new kitchenware. Meanwhile, Ricard returned from shopping. You're back. It must have been hard carrying all this by yourself. Ricard replied, this much is no trouble. I could tell he had carefully selected supplies for survival. Ricard spread the items out in the room. Here's the food and seeds you wanted. I couldn't get a magic stove this time, but I bought some multi-purpose oil that makes it easy to start a fire. Haley picked up a bag of seeds. Vegetable seeds. I needed this. And so much flour. Can we carry this much? Ricard looked at her and said, I'll carry it. Haley called out to him, Ricard. Ricard turned around. What is it? He seemed to be waiting for me to speak. Haley said, you've worked hard. Get some sleep. Ricard remained silent. Haley thought, you've barely slept, keeping watch this whole time. I'll clean up. Ricard saw through her thoughts. I'm not the only one who kept watch. I'm going to sleep anyway. Get a good rest tonight. We'll go to the market first thing tomorrow. I want to buy a horse there. Haley asked why. Ricard smiled, remembering what she had said. You wanted to ride a white horse along the lake. He spoke, if we have a horse, we can evolve faster too, right? He really believes I'm going to evolve the entire lake. Yes. In fact, I planned to leave him from the very beginning. Pretending not to be able to read was also part of the plan. If he handles everything by himself, he'll wear himself out. My little wish will soon be forgotten. By then, the female lead will probably have appeared. He will meet her as fated and then fall in love. So forget about me and live a good life, Ricard Winter. You poor male lead. Forget everything that came before. Before dawn, Haley left quietly. Fatima saw her at the top of the stairs. It's so late. Where's a young girl going with so many things? Haley said he should go his own way. Fatima looked worried. This child seems strong, but I'm still worried. Wait a minute, dear. Fatima came back with a bottle. Take this. It's our inn's special seasoning. You always seem to enjoy our food, so I wanted you to have it. She gave me the secret seasoning just because I ate with gusto. Haley said softly, thank you. This was a feeling I hadn't had in a long time. The joy of selfless kindness from a stranger. Fatima smiled. Be careful on the road. This feeling is dangerous. I need to go back to my isolated life with Kikyo. Haley took out a gold coin. Thank you for your kindness, Fatima. This is for you as thanks. Fatima held her hand. Dear, you shouldn't show gold coins so easily. I won't tell anyone, but for a girl traveling alone, bad people might rob you. Even ordinary people can get bad ideas about shiny coins. Fatima's warning came after I thanked her, but I was happy. A warmth spread through my chest. Humans really are social animals. Fatima waved at me from the doorway. It was an unexpected joy, but that's all it was. If Fatima knew I was the Haley from the rumors, would she still be so kind? Of course not. At least Kikyo is waiting for me at home. He complains every day about hating to be alone. I have to get back to them. Haley walked alone in the night. A rustling sound came from the bushes. 3 men emerged from the shadows. What's a girl doing out so late? Haley froze. I was just on my way home. If I get robbed, I'm done for. My gold, I can't just lose the money like this. Kikyo is still waiting at home. One of the men spoke. It's dangerous to be out now, so stick to the main road. Another man chimed in. Take a wrong turn in the forest, and you'll be captured by an evil sorceress. Haley breathed a sigh of relief. Oh, okay. They're just villagers on their way home. As she walked past them, the lead man called out, wait, are you going far? Do you want me to have my wife walk you home? Because it's scary here. Haley quickly waved her hands. No, really, it's fine. The man looked her over. Is that so? You're quite brave to be alone. The man handed her an herb. Then take this. It's an insect-repelling herb. The mosquitoes here are big and poisonous. Haley took the herb and said, thank you. Are all the people in this village this nice? Is it normal to worry this much about a stranger? According to the usual tropes, there should be bandits robbing me or human traffickers selling me to a pervert. But nothing happened. Is this novel being too kind to me? Or is it because the worst person here is still my father? The sound of hurried footsteps came from behind. A voice shouted, Haley. Haley stopped in her tracks, stunned. Ricard appeared before her. Haley looked at him and said, are you crazy? Ricard said, what? Haley said, I left you on purpose. Go your own way, Ricard. Don't disturb my peaceful life. Ricard stood frozen. An ominous aura emanated from him. Haley's voice echoed. It's a good thing I found you in time. Go live your own life. I'll take you there, so live happily. Ricard was confused. Is this a dream? An evil sorceress who hates humans, holding her enemy's hand and wishing him happiness. Crickets chirped peacefully. The scent of the forest filled his nose. This must be a realistic dream, enough to fool me. Every night, she held my hand like this. The anxiety in my heart was eased. I temporarily cast aside all my burdens and fell into a deep sleep. I would never admit something like this, even if I died. Ricard opened his eyes. He thought, now she can enter people's dreams at will. How much time had passed? He groggily got up. I was supposed to go buy a horse this morning. The sun hasn't risen yet. I'll sleep a little longer. He fell back onto the bed, then shot up in shock. A necklace on the pillow was glowing blue. He stared at it, shocked. It was raining outside. A voice shouted, Sir, where are you going? You haven't taken your luggage. Ricard walked on without looking back. It was all a lie to put my mind at ease. He recalled what the woman had said. She said she had to hurry home because there was a child at home. She looked so young, I never would have guessed. Ricard thought, what was all that for? We traveled through the demonic energy. He spoke countless times. He even asked me if I needed him to ride the horse or drive the cart for me. It was all a lie, just so you could abandon me. You're contaminated. I'll help you purify on the way. I didn't hold his hand. I thought if I did, there would be no turning back. My last bit of reason would disappear, but it was all in vain. Haley doesn't need Ricard. Haley carried her luggage. She looked at him coldly. Don't you get it, Ricard? I did this to get rid of you. Ricard's face was filled with anger and confusion. He questioned, you abandoned me on purpose? In case your family went bankrupt, I even gave you money. That should be enough. Haley turned to leave. Ricard shouted, wait. Ricard shouted after her, Haley. Ricard chased after her, demanding, I know you have a special constitution, but that's just an abandoned castle. Are you planning to spend the rest of your life trapped alone in the contaminated zone? That's no place for a person to live. Haley stopped, her expression calm. She said softly, that's my home. Haley said coldly, I don't need you to understand my way of life. Ricard stood frozen. Haley had her back to him. Go your own way, Ricard. Because of what she did, Haley became the public enemy of the entire kingdom. But you're purely a victim. You're only wanted in one kingdom. There are many other ways to live. So go find a place that can protect you. Haley added, we were strangers to begin with. Parting like this doesn't change anything. Ricard was emotional. So from the very beginning, you had it all planned. You planned to abandon me. Haley thought, I never had you to begin with. Why would you say that? Ricard continued to press. So you were lying before when you said you couldn't read? Haley said, that's right. Ricard fell silent. Haley took a few steps forward. This is my final favor to you. I'll evolve you, and then you go back the way you came. Ricard refused. Forget it. Don't bother. Haley asked, is this really something to be stubborn about? If you just leave like this, something terrible will happen. Ricard grabbed her tightly. If you can run away without a care, then you shouldn't care either. Don't worry about whether I get contaminated or not. Haley looked at him calmly. It seems you still don't understand how serious your situation is. Ricard said, don't try to convince me. You don't have to evolve me, and you don't have to feel guilty. Like you said, we're just strangers. There's no reason for us to be together. Haley yelled, you'll die. I told you, you'll die from the contamination. Ricard was emotional. I came here to die in the first place, but you saved me. Haley looked at him, shocked. Ricard continued again and again. You had many chances to kill me, but you never did. Now, I don't even know if this life is still mine. Ricard called out softly, Haley, you should have just killed me back then. A gust of wind blew, swirling the fallen leaves. After the storm subsided, the two walked in silence until the dawn sky began to lighten. Haley looked back and saw Ricard right there. The contamination on him was worse. Haley thought, don't waste your energy. Give up and go back. I hoped ignoring him would make him understand my meaning. Ricard suddenly collapsed to his knees. Haley was startled. She rushed forward. See, I told you die like this. Ricard was on his knees. He cried out in pain. You're driving me crazy. Why on earth are you doing this? Haley thought, why is it that when you do a good deed with good intentions, the reward is worthless? Ricard doesn't know yet that even if his revenge fails, new happiness will soon arrive. This time, you'll meet the female lead, break free from the shackles of being half human, half demon, and finally have a wonderful, rosy romance. Haley made up her mind. I can't just watch the male lead give up on his role. Ricard was on his knees. He cried out in pain, I don't need you, and you don't need me. Haley questioned him. You can live happily outside. Why do you keep following me? Ricard answered coldly, mind your own business. Ricard struggled to his feet. Haley said sharply, you're about to die. How can I not get involved? I'm serious. I'm never taking you to a village again. Ricard fell silent. He asked in a low voice, how do you know my name? Haley froze. Ricard took a step closer. You knew from the beginning, didn't you? Was the memory loss a lie too? Not being able to read the map was a lie. Not recognizing me was all a lie. Haley thought there was no such thing as a magic brazier in the novel, so I didn't know about it. How would I know how to read a map? It's not that I lost my memory. It's that I'm not the real Haley at all. How am I supposed to explain something like that? And even if I did, would he believe me? Haley covered her face in frustration. At this point, everything is just annoying. She turned around. Think whatever you want. Curse me however you want. I have no intention of being understood, nor do I want to be. Ricard called out from behind her, hey, Haley, are you just going to leave like this? Haley thought, I don't even know how to answer. And how am I supposed to abandon you? You were never mine to begin with. Ricard grabbed her arm from behind. Don't abandon me. He suddenly dropped to his knees. Haley cried out, what? She thought, the male lead's knees are so cheap. Has the demonic energy already invaded his brain? Ricard trembled all over. He said weakly, my strength. Haley watched him collapse. So he fainted. Haley sighed wearily. How do things get like this? She reached out her hand to Ricard and said, I am Haley Marwin, the evil dark sorceress who wiped out your entire family and became the public enemy of 3 kingdoms. Ricard said, I know. Haley was very surprised. You know, and you still want to come with me? Ricard smiled slightly and said yes. He took her hand. Haley was taken aback. This man, destined for a life of tragedy, always burdened by misfortune, finally showed a brilliant smile. Like someone who had been lost for a long time and had finally found their way home. Haley sighed. All right, I give up. She pulled Ricard's hand. Let's go home. In a village on the northeastern outskirts of the Tasnatura kingdom, villagers were talking amongst themselves. I heard soldiers have been sent to the border of the contaminated zone. Is it an order from the Pope? A place abandoned for 100 years is suddenly being investigated. A woman said the newly appointed young cardinal bishop must be full of energy. I heard he's personally inspecting the borders of the 3 kingdoms and those neglected regions. A white-haired man in a blue robe handed bread to a villager. He was Eugene Wedmark, one of the 5 cardinal bishops of the church. A voice called out, Lord Eugene. His aide, Yenna, was by his side. Yenna said softly, these miscellaneous tasks should be left to the infantry priests. You should focus your energy on more important matters, Lord Eugene. Eugene replied with a smile, haha, it's fine. I'm just a little bored because the news I'm waiting for hasn't arrived yet. Yenna lowered her head. She apologized for making Lord Eugene wait. I'm a failure of an aide. Yenna thought, this is how the church evaluates Lord Eugene. He achieved a high position at a young age, yet he does things unbecoming of his status. When a person's status changes, the person themselves also changes. But as his aide, I know that Lord Eugene is someone who will achieve great things, because his dream is to evolve the contaminated lands and stop people from being abandoned without cause. Eugene turned and asked Yenna, what's the situation with the investigation of the canyon? Yenna reported, we investigated all terrains where someone might have washed ashore, but too much time has passed and nothing remains. I also checked the list of people cited at the northern border crossings over the past year. No one presumed to be Haley was among them. Eugene said, I see. Yenna comforted him. Please don't worry too much, Lord Eugene. No matter how powerful that evil witch is, it's impossible for her to have survived there. A man shouted from behind him, Lord Eugene, Lord Eugene. Eugene asked, what is it? A soldier knelt on one knee and reported, we seem to have found the whereabouts of the Winter family survivor, Ricard. He was witnessed running into the forest of the contaminated zone. Eugene thought, Winter? Isn't that the family Haley wiped out? He rampaged like a beast, vowing revenge on Haley. The soldier continued. Some said he looked desperate, as if in a great hurry. In a village called Selbin, a 2-day carriage ride from here. Eugene commanded, summon the knights. Yenna and the soldier looked at him in surprise. Eugene said, we must go to Selbin. The little sprite of Marwin Castle, Kikyo, was lost in thought. Kikyo thought, our family is already so poor, it's a struggle to feed 2 mouths. I'm sorry, I couldn't just kick him out. It looks like we'll have to feed another mouth. Now there are 3 of us. Haley was worried. I brought him here without permission. Will I get scolded? Kikyo asked, what about the flour? The flour, sugar, and butter. Please give me those first. Haley looked at Kikyo in surprise, thinking, that's just like you. Feeding 1 more person isn't your top priority, is it? Kikyo said, don't be so hasty. If we have a strong human, there are many things we can do. And this person looks especially strong. Maybe this will be better than just the 2 of us. Kikyo looked at Ricard thoughtfully, but maybe not. If he's a weak freeloader, I'll kick him out. After returning, Ricard was sick for a long time from overexertion. There are no doctors here. No one knew why he was sick or how to treat it. We could only hope that as the protagonist, he had a strong constitution and would get better soon. Kikyo looked at the wheat on the table. How could he bring back wheat without asking how to grow it? What is spring wheat? What is winter wheat? How would someone like me from the big city know? But even if we manage to grow and harvest it, the problem remains. How we make flour? What we do with whole wheat? I don't know either. Kikyo sighed. We don't have a mill or a thresher here. We might as well have just bought corn. What's the use of regretting it now? All that's left is to wait to starve to death one by one. First, that big guy will die. Then you, Haley. Finally, I'll be left all alone in this gloomy castle. Haley said, wait, why do I die first? If I use my demonic energy, I can at least sustain my life. Kikyo asked, I'm a fairy who has lived in a contaminated forest for 100 years, you know? Haley said, I see. Kikyo, are you going to use plants? Do you know, Kikyo, I'm worried about Ricard. Unlike you, I can survive on very little food. What if he starts eating normally after he recovers? Ricard chuckled. I'll find my own food. Haley looked at him in terror. You scared me to death. You're already awake? Haley handed him a piece of bread. Here, eat this. How are you going to find food in this contaminated land? Ricard replied, I think I'll do a better job than you. Haley thought, what is he talking about now? Are you trying to get contaminated and collapse? Who's going to evolve you then? Have you ever heard the term overconfident? Ricard continued, I just need to go hunt in the evolved area up ahead. Haley said, you think we haven't tried hunting? There's nothing here but rats. Haley said with a laugh, go on, give it a try. Let's see what good things you can catch. An hour later, a large white bird was shot down. Haley and Kikyo were very surprised. This is real. Ricard proudly held up a slingshot. Haley thought, with that toy-like slingshot, this is already the 3rd one. I never thought this would work. Kikyo also thought, what have Haley and I been doing all this time? Haley recalled how Ricard had completely ignored her taunts and just focused on whittling a branch. At first, his posture was clumsy, but after a few adjustments, he was gathering dinner at an astonishing speed. Kikyo exclaimed, a strong human can do so much. And he looks especially strong. Physical strength is truly a remarkable ability. Haley thought, I thought he was just trying to win a verbal argument. Ricard asked, what should I do? Kikyo urged, catch a few more for later. Ricard's status had completely flipped. He had proven his worth, his voice filled with confidence. Ricard pointed into the distance. Haley, start evolving that area tomorrow. Haley asked in shock why. That's the road to Selbin. Ricard explained, we need a road wide enough for at least 1 carriage to pass. We need to go by the butter and flour you like. Haley panicked. No, if people find out I'm still alive, I'll be sent to the gallows. If we absolutely have to buy something, I can go and come right back. But we can't build a road. Haley reminded him seriously, Ricard, you haven't forgotten, have you? I'm the public enemy of 3 kingdoms. I'm a dead person. Ricard looked at her quietly. I have a question for you. Why did you do those things? Haley thought, it's finally here. Ever since I found out Ricard's memory was intact, I knew he would ask one day. I know what he wants to ask. Why did you annihilate the Winter family? You had no grudge against them. Why did you poison the king of the whole kingdom? I really wish the real Haley were here, even as a ghost, to answer this question. All I can do now is repeat the story I remember. Haley began to speak. Because the sworn enemy of the Marquee Bandison's family happened to be the person I love. Haley continued, I was in love with a man. It was Cyril Bandison. Ricard asked, love? Haley replied, yes. Haley explained, Cyril wanted to become the heir of the family, but because he was an illegitimate son, he was looked down upon by the head of the family and the nobles. So Haley decided to perform a great deed for him to make him the heir. That was to annihilate their sworn enemy, the ducal house of Winter. Haley looked at him. A very trivial reason, isn't it? Just for love, for that fleeting, selfish emotion. So many people lost their lives. Haley watched him nervously. Will he get angry? Will he fly into a rage again and swear revenge? Haley thought, I don't want to be killed by a slingshot, but there's nothing I can do. I can't embellish the past to my liking. If the real Haley loved that bastard so much, what can I say? Ricard looked away. Cyril Bandison? He turned his head back and asked, then what about Eugene Wedmark? And Michelin? Did you want to kill them too? Ricard's question made Haley freeze instantly. Haley thought, these are all familiar names I've only read in the novel. It feels strange to hear them from his mouth. Haley spoke slowly. Eugene was my companion at the orphanage, my only family in this world. I believe Michelin was a true friend, like one soul living in two bodies. She thought that was Haley, not me. Ricard let out a derisive laugh. Family, friends. Is there something wrong with you? Ricard questioned, those bastards not only captured you, tried you, sentenced you to death, but even threw you into the contaminated zone. Haley turned away. I already know. You don't have to remind me. Ricard said, how stupid. It's a waste to even call you a genius. But since you remember everything, why did you pretend to know nothing? Haley thought, I did it to survive. What other reason could there be? Because some half-dead person was burning with a desire to kill me. Ricard recalled the scene. All right, that did happen. Haley asked, then why did you pretend to have amnesia? The person who came to kill me, suddenly acted like a good guy. I told you to leave, but you wouldn't listen. He answered softly, I did it to survive. I just want to live. You want to live? How? By forgetting the person you want revenge on? Haley lowered her eyes, her expression on. That's absurd. If you were just afraid of being killed, I want to tell you that no one here will kill you. Haley was silent. She had no right to be comforted as someone who had taken over another's body. Ricard looked at her and shouted, Haley. Haley looked up and answered, Huh? What is it? He asked with a serious expression. Do you still love him? Haley froze, her mind a blank. Still love him? The two faced each other in the woods. Who? Them? She suddenly understood. I'm not the real Haley at all. I've never even spoken to those people. Ricard said, how pitiful. Haley's eyes widened. What? Haley said in a fluster. Wait, you seem to have misunderstood something. Ricard said with a cold look in his eyes, stop acting pitiful. Just be your evil witch self. That suits you better. Haley's eyes widened in shock. Is he pitying me? I'm not the one who did those things. Haley explained. I said, it's a misunderstanding. That night, Haley sat by the fireplace. No one believed her explanation. Even Kikyo looked at her with pity. Kikyo said Haley was dumped by 3 men and then jumped off a cliff. Haley retorted angrily, no, not a single word of that is true. She sighed in resignation. Fine, think whatever you want. There are more urgent matters right now. That is, Kikyo and Ricard were getting along unusually well. Kikyo farmed and handled the housework. Ricard was good at hunting and going to the market. At this rate, the only useless person in this castle will be me. A sense of crisis washed over her. I wish I had some life skills too, or that my evolution ability was a bit stronger. She felt a strange sensation. She wondered, what was that just now? In the darkness, a giant moth spread its wings, its eyes glowing with an eerie light. Haley said, you scared me. It's like a normal moth, but huge, almost like a bird. Its wings stared at me like eyes. Haley remembered the Tinkerbells her predecessors had mentioned, but they said they were green. This one is brown. I don't think I can beat it. I tiptoed backward. It's better to sleep in another room, even if it's colder. The moth suddenly flapped its wings. Haley whipped her head around. Why is it that bad feelings are never wrong? The moth lunged at Haley. Haley screamed, Kikyo. Ricard rushed in with Kikyo and asked, Haley, what's wrong? What happened? Haley's voice came from the darkness. Kikyo, Ricard, look at this. A purple sphere of light floated in the air, with a giant moth trapped inside. Ricard was very surprised. A moth? Haley, did you catch it yourself? Haley, surrounded by a soft glow, said yeah. But more importantly, I think my evolution has leveled up. A pillar of light broke through the forest and shot up into the sky. Haley thought, since that moth incident, my abilities have improved a lot. Now I can directly absorb demonic energy, and the range of my purification is wider. Kikyo ran over from a distance, shouting, Haley. He laughed and said, wait, do you shout such a cool slogan every time you absorb demonic energy? Haley's cheeks flushed. So what if I do? It feels heroic. Ricard walked closer and said, I never thought you cared so much about appearances. Haley retorted, the really cool part is yet to come. Now, just by extracting the demonic energy from my body like this, energy coalesced around her, forming shining limbs. I can control it as if it were my own body. Ricard said, that looks super strong. Kikyo said uneasily, Haley, you know you look like a real demon right now, right? But Ricard was impressed. He said, another convenient, all-purpose ability. Are there any other tricks? Haley nodded. Oh, there's one more that's even cooler. But for that, I need that. She stared at a spider on a tree trunk. Kikyo shrieked, are you crazy? Now you're going to evolve insects too? Haley smiled confidently. Just watch. She explained, walking through the contaminated zone, you often find creatures killed by demonic energy. They lose their life force and wander around like inanimate objects. This spider no longer spins webs to hunt, but if I directly inject it with dense demonic energy, the spider's exoskeleton hardened like armor. Its mandibles grew long like fangs. And just like that, it was revived. The mutated spider let out a sharp screech. Kikyo muttered, Haley, you really are a demon king. He raised his hand to shoot a beam of light. Haley immediately stopped him. No, I discovered this by accident. I didn't even realize I was reviving them. Ricard asked, so can you do that to wolves or people too? Haley replied, theoretically, yes. Ricard continued, if you use it on yourself, your body will become stronger and you can move freely in the contaminated zone. You could even go shopping. Haley roared, convenient my foot. Are you crazy? Turning into a demon just to go shopping? Kikyo also said, absolutely not. Ricard asked, isn't it a good idea? Haley said, it's not like that. Just because I'm not planning to build a road, you're going to protest? Even if your dream is to become a demon, I will never inject demonic energy into a human. Kikyo asked, then Haley, what about those whose humanity is questionable? Haley looked confused. What do you mean? Kikyo said, those contaminated people. If we demonize them like we did the spider, could they survive? Haley was stunned. Haley thought, I hadn't thought of that, but maybe it could really work. Ricard said, the Dryad is right. In this forest, there are many people who were dragged here and killed without cause. This might be able to save them. Haley immediately retorted, wait a minute. Most of the people thrown in here are criminals certified by the church. What if we accidentally demonize a serial killer? Ricard said with a determined look, if that happens, I'll take care of them. Haley retorted even more heatedly, how do you judge who is innocent? Even if they survive, they won't be treated as human anymore. We can't get their consent. What if they'd rather die as humans? We'd be doing something irreversible to their lives. Do you think we have that right? Ricard lowered his eyes and fell silent. After a moment, he looked up, his eyes sad but firm, and said, but even so, they will want to live, even if it means paying that price. Haley was stunned by his gaze. She muttered, Ricard, is he comparing himself to them? Kikyo interrupted them. All right, that's enough. There's no point in arguing about human dignity here. What's important is that we still have to live in this castle. Haley's growth is a good thing. Let's not overthink it. Let's go back to the castle and continue this discussion. Ricard agreed, saying, all right. With Kikyo's mediation, the argument ended for the time being. But the question remained, is it true that people would want to live even if it meant becoming a demon? If it is true, this might be a second chance for the innocent dead. But at the same time, I was sure of another thing. In the original novel, it was this very power that turned Morrowind Castle into a cradle of demons. The most cunning and terrifying demons in the story were the ones who looked like people. If Haley picked contaminated criminals and turned them into demons, and after her death, these demons were released, the ending would be pure chaos. I made my decision. I must never use this power on people. At that time, I didn't know. My resolve and decision were about to be tested. Less than an hour later, the test came again. Ricard stood in front of the two of them, saying, you two, get back. Haley reached out to stop Ricard, saying, wait, don't kill them yet. Those zombies are the lumberjacks from Selbin. They were fine just last week. They were kind people, worried about me wandering around alone, and warned me to be careful of the witch in the forest. They even gave me herbs. Why are they here in this state? The lumberjacks, who knew the dangers of the contaminated zone better than anyone. How could they all suddenly be corrupted? Something's not right. Haley gripped Ricard's shoulder. She looked at Ricard and said, Ricard, I think something happened in Selbin. A few days before Haley met the lumberjacks, the door of an inn was pushed open. The owner greeted warmly, welcome. Are you here to stay or to eat? A voice said, forgive my intrusion. I'm looking for someone. A person our order is pursuing is said to have passed through here. He's tall, blonde, skilled with a sword, and carries himself with a noble air. Have you seen such a person recently? The clerk became nervous and said, although this is a country inn, we can't just give out information about our guests. The young man named Yenna drew his sword and held it to the clerk's throat, roaring, "How dare you? Do you know who stands before you? This is His Excellency Eugene Wedmark, one of the 5 cardinal bishops of the Holy Order." Eugene put a hand on Yenna's and said, "That's enough, Yenna. We are here to ask for help, not to create fear." He turned to the owner and said, "Don't be afraid. The person we're looking for is a wanted criminal from the Nif Kingdom, Ricard Winter. This is a serious matter. I cannot go into detail, but we are looking for him only for the information he possesses. His whereabouts are crucial. Please tell us the truth." Yenna followed behind Eugene and asked, "Your Excellency, can we trust the owner's words? What if he's hiding Winter?" Eugene said, with a blank expression, "We'll have to conduct a proper interrogation." Yenna was confused. "Interrogation, you mean?" Eugene ordered, "Completely lock down Selbin. Find everyone who has seen Winter and his companion. There must be no oversights. If anyone is hiding something, we must expose them." Yenna looked troubled. "A full lockdown? We'll need a just cause. They will surely resist." Eugene's eyes were cold as he said, "We can choose our own reason. Anyone who resists will be sent to the contaminated zone for immediate execution. We cannot be hindered by pointless resistance." Yenna accepted the order. "Yes, sir. I will go and gather the soldiers at once." The owner recalled he was with a girl. He said he happened to save her in the forest. The girl left alone late at night, and he seemed to chase after her in a panic. Eugene asked, "Do you remember what the girl looked like?" The owner replied, "She had long black hair and was about my height." Eugene thought, "It's undoubtedly Haley. I don't know how her red hair turned black. But Ricard Winter is not the type to have the leisure to help others. Why would he chase so desperately deep into the contaminated zone? Then Haley must still be alive there. They said she was thrown into the canyon in a cage, but Haley wouldn't die just like that. I believed she could survive and go deep into the contaminated zone. I just didn't expect that she wouldn't find me for a whole year." Eugene kissed the ring on his hand, thinking maybe she misunderstood my intentions and resents me. Or perhaps the situation was so dire she couldn't ask for help. "Just wait a little longer, Haley. This time, I will find you and protect you. I will show you that I am completely different from those who used you and then ruthlessly abandoned you. I will make you understand that the place you truly belong is right by my side." In a memory, 2 children sat by a river. Little Eugene asked Haley, "When we grow up and leave the orphanage, will you still be my friend?" Little Haley said, "What kind of stupid question is that? You think you can leave here and live well without seeing me again? We're family, Eugene. Family always stays together. That way, no matter what happens, we can protect each other." Eugene said excitedly, "Yeah, I'll protect you too, Haley." Little Haley asked, "Really? Then let's carve rings from this piece of wood and exchange them. Not toys, but real rings. As a symbol of our vow to be together forever. Let's live together again like we used to when we had nothing but each other's warmth to survive in this cold world. Haley and Eugene, forever." 3 days after Selbin was locked down on the land near Merwin Castle, Haley gazed into the distance. "Something has clearly happened in Selbin. I have to go and check the situation." Ricard looked at the corrupted people and said, "Are you just going to leave them like this? Weren't they good to you? Why not try to evolve them?" Haley said with a serious expression, "This isn't something to be tried lightly. What if they die while I'm evolving them? Evolving shuts down the system driven by demonic energy. We can't turn them into demons either." Ricard said, "Letting them wander like this forever, becoming a demon, or finding peace might be a mercy." Haley shook her head. "I need to understand what happened first before I can make a decision. Let's go to Selbin first." Kikyo looked surprised. "Ah, right now?" He crossed his arms and said, "You're so impatient. It takes a full 5 days to get there from here. I'll stay behind and look after the crops. You two go. Something has clearly happened, so please be as cautious as possible." And so, on the 3rd day of their journey to Selbin, unlike last time, we encountered a crowded group of people at the border of the contaminated zone. Haley pointed at a distant flag. "That's the flag of the Holy Order." Ricard reminded her, "Once you've seen enough, keep your head down. If a paladin finds us snooping around here, things will get messy." Haley was very shocked. "Why are people from the Holy Order here? Why are they camping out in the wild?" Ricard replied, "We have to find out. Let's wait until night to make a move." He looked back and said, "Haley, why aren't you keeping up?" In the distance was a camp. The paladins were gathered around a bonfire. Haley stood rooted to the spot. Her gaze was drawn to one person. She stared ahead. I recognized him immediately. There was no mistaking it. Eugene appeared, his figure like a character straight out of the novel. Is it because I'm in Haley's body? Eugene Wedmark, the man who used Haley to climb to the position of Cardinal Bishop. Haley muttered, Why is he here? Eugene was an orphan like me. I once considered him my only family. Ricard said, we're barging in right now. No more waiting. Haley retorted in shock. What? Are you crazy? Weren't you the one who said to wait until night? Ricard's eyes were firm. If their commander is just some womanizer, the situation is different. Haley grabbed Ricard's arm. Calm down. Are you going to abandon us again? If we're going to wait, then get down with me. Haley turned her head away in frustration. Just then, I felt a clear gaze from the distant ridge. Eugene stood in the camp, looking in this direction. Eugene muttered, Haley? Eugene looked astonished. Haley's heart tightened. Damn it, we've been spotted. We have to leave immediately. Ricard asked, what's wrong with you? Haley grabbed Ricard. She shouted in a panic. Didn't you see him? We have to go quickly. Haley looked desperate. I can't let anyone know I'm still alive. Don't you understand? Ricard tried to calm her. Haley, calm down. Eugene's voice came again, echoing through the valley. Haley, she looked up at the ridge. Haley froze. Is he crazy? How dare he shout my name like that? Eugene's eyes were cold. The soldiers shouted, seize them. That evil witch. How is she still alive? Who is that man with her? Ricard pulled Haley and said, we've been exposed. Run, Haley. As Ricard pulled her along, she suddenly laughed. An incredulous laugh. I tried so hard to hide. How could Eugene be so persistent? Eugene pursued them, leading his horse. He shouted, wait, Haley. The original story unfolded from the heroine's perspective. The whereabouts of the characters in the later stages were a mystery. It turns out Eugene was searching for Haley back then. A holy knight ordered, capture him. Fire arrows this way. The archers drew their bows. The arrows whistled through the air. Ricard swung his sword, deflecting the arrows to protect Haley. The holy knight shouted again, use containment magic. Don't let him enter the contaminated zone. Haley's eyes sharpened. At this rate, we'll be caught. Haley looked at Ricard and said, Ricard. Ricard asked, confused, what is it? Haley ordered, carry me and run. Ricard froze for a moment, staring at Haley. Ricard said in a low voice, hold on tight. He swept Haley up into his arms. Ricard ran with all his might, carrying Haley. Haley urged, once we enter the contaminated zone, we can lose them. Once we're past that point, the pursuers won't be able to follow. At that very moment, just as Ricard's foot was about to step into the contaminated zone, a voice rang out. The innkeeper and the residents of Selbin will be tried for heresy. It's all because of you, Haley. Ricard stopped dead in his tracks. Haley thought, this is utter nonsense. Yenna continued, you defied the order's command and chose to live. Those who helped you for their own gain will all face a holy trial. Yenna grabbed a woman covered in wounds and said, look here. She dragged the woman. See the fate of the woman who took your gold. Why did things turn out this way? That woman was just a money-loving innkeeper. Nothing more. Yenna pointed at Haley and said, Haley, you are a curse. Those who have fallen because of you must atone with their lives. In the chaos, the woman named Fatima shouted, run. Her face was covered in blood, but her eyes were firm. This damned fantasy world. Why is it so cruel to good people? I was burning with rage. I hid desperately for so long, only for it all to be ruined by a moment of carelessness. I can no longer hear that person's shouts clearly. Dark purple demonic energy surged around Haley. A dark energy gathered in her hands. Haley gave an order, Ricard, bring Fatima to me. A powerful energy erupted. Ricard looked at her in shock. An anxious voice shouted, get down the mountain immediately. The purple energy burst forth, sweeping violently, spreading through the dark forest. A man exclaimed in alarm, the contamination is spreading. Someone screamed in pain. Yenna staggered back, engulfed by the purple energy. She couldn't believe it. This is absurd. The contaminated zone never expands or shrinks unless someone is controlling the demonic energy. Haley was controlling the demonic energy. The purple torrent swirled. Yenna stared in shock. How is this possible? The sound of thundering hooves. Eugene charged out on his black horse. He called Haley's name. Wait, Haley. He spurred his horse forward, his voice desperate. Talk to me. Haley's voice was filled with surprise. Lord Eugene. Eugene looked pained. He pleaded, I know you're angry with me. Just for a moment, I beg you. I want to talk to you. Haley responded coldly. Talk? She let out a bitter laugh. You must be joking. Haley's voice was full of contempt. If you really felt that way, you shouldn't have bullied the innkeeper. Haley continued, you shouldn't have turned innocent people into zombies like that. You shouldn't have treated Haley that way from the start. Haley said sharply, get lost. She crossed her arms, her eyes cold. Haley went on, you hypocrite. Do you have any idea how much Haley suffered because of you? If you truly cared for Haley, you would have left the order by now. It's because of you that Haley hated the order. She couldn't face them and had to run away. But you, just like those bastards, testified that Haley was evil. You spouted nonsense about taking away her demonic power so she could do no more evil. Haley began, whether you are representatives of God or not, it has nothing to do with me. Haley took a step forward, but now that you're acting like this, things are different. Haley thought, even if this is just to vent Haley's anger, I don't care. Haley continued, you called me Haley. Marlon. Eugene froze in place, stunned. I was once a reader who shed tears for Haley's fate. So this is my revenge on Haley's behalf. Haley spread her arms and declared sharply, from now on, this is my territory. Trespassers will be killed without mercy. As the sun set, the holy knights, worried about the spreading contamination, released Fatima and left. During the 4-day journey back to Marlon Castle, Fatima cried nonstop. She hugged Haley tightly. Fatima sobbed, thank you for saving me. I was so scared. I thought you were just a wandering girl. I never imagined you were such a powerful sorceress. Haley, a bit flustered, said, is that so? It's only natural that you were scared. Fatima continued, thanks to you I survived. But what should I do now? Haley said, a little troubled, could you cry a little further away? Fatima took a step back and replied softly, yes. Ricard approached Haley. She pleaded with him, Ricard, help me. Fatima said, the heir to Duke Winter and an evil sorceress. I seem to have gotten involved in something big. Haley interrupted, we're almost at my home. Let's figure things out when we get there. Fatima said, all right, let's go back first. It will take time to accept this overnight reality. Ricard thought if I could heal her pain, I would give my all, no matter what. 3 days later, at Marlon Castle, Fatima happily announced, from now on, I'll be living with you all. Let's get along well, like a family. Haley was stunned. Wait, hold on a minute. She rushed forward and asked, what did you say? Why are you living here? Fatima explained, I can't go back to Selbin now. That Cardinal Bishop is too terrifying. He looks like he won't rest until he finds the sorceress. Haley said, you could go to another town and start over. I'll give you a few gold coins. Use them to find a job. Fatima's face changed. What if I get caught? I escaped from a trial. If I'm caught again, I'll be executed. Haley's eyes widened in horror. Executed? Fatima continued. Besides, a big castle like this needs staff, right? I heard sorceresses don't do anything, and the young Duke only knows how to hunt. Your cute little sprite will be exhausted soon. Haley thought, I can guess who told her that. Haley sat down beside Fatima. Your name is Fatima, right? Do you know how miserable a life in hiding is? You're a nobody. You can't even reveal your identity anywhere. Do you still want to live here? Fatima raised her head with determination and nodded. Yes, I'm serious. Fatima's voice was LOW.M. Why home? My shop, my hometown. They're all gone. It's scary to start over in a strange place. The two sat side by side. Fatima continued, and being alone is frightening. Haley softly called her name, Fatima. She thought, I never thought of it that way. Fatima lived alone in Selbin, but she still had neighbors. Fatima looked at Haley. Her eyes sincered, I don't know about the outside world, and I don't know what kind of person you are. I only know that you saved my life. Fatima said excitedly, when you declare that was your territory, it was so cool. Haley looked confused. That why territory? Fatima mimicked her. You said it was your land. A flashback. Haley had raised her arm and shouted, from now on, this is my territory. Trespassers will meet their death. Haley looked at Fatima, bewildered. Did I say that? Fatima nodded vigorously. You did say that, right? Haley said, that's because the contaminated zone starts from there. Fatima concluded, so you're the Lord. Haley pointed to herself, puzzled. What? The Lord? Me? She thought, I'm just a hermit with no title and no land, and suddenly I'm a lord. But it does sound kind of cool. 2 white ducks quacked. Fatima ran over excitedly. .my lord. Look, the wild ducks Ricard caught laid eggs. Haley thought with a deadpan expression, Fatima, you're being roasted right now. Fatima suddenly panicked. Oh no, I stressed out the precious ducks. The duck quacked angrily. Fatima adapted to life in the territory quickly. She had cried secretly for the first few nights, but she was strong and hardworking. She quickly got back on her feet. Now, she was an indispensable member of the castle. Fatima served the food, saying, my lord, Sprite, please eat. Haley took the plate. Wow, thank you, Fatima. Kikyo exclaimed excitedly, oh my god, Fatima, I've never eaten anything this delicious. Don't leave. Let's live together forever. Kikyo and Fatima looked at each other with tears in their eyes. Haley, on the other hand, complained with a look of disgust. You promised to live with me forever, too. You untrustworthy person. Haley thought, but with this sweet pasta, I can't be bothered. I hope Fatima never leaves and stays here forever. She ate happily. Ricard and Haley were dining at the table. Ricard spoke up. Haley, do you know the history of the contaminated zone? Haley frowned and thought, talking about this while we're eating? Why ask this all of a sudden? She asked, do I have to know? Ricard smiled. If you're going to be the Lord, you should at least know the basics. He continued, first, the original owner of this castle, Marquee Marlin. There are many theories about his true identity. Some say he was a scholar obsessed with demonology. Others say he was the first black magician to successfully summon a demon. But what we need to know, Ricard emphasized, is that this land, even before it was contaminated, did not belong to any of the three kingdoms. Ricard continued to explain, contaminated or not, this place has always belonged to the Marlins. As the sole Marlin, you can claim this castle, the lake, the forest, and the valley as your territory. Haley was stunned. This huge, ownerless land is all my territory? She shot up from her seat. Impossible. I bet you're just flattering me to get on my good side. I'm not that easy to fool. But she quickly calmed down. As you said, I can claim this land as mine now. Currently, the contaminated zone is a wasteland that no one ever visits. But if the three kingdoms find out I've purified this place, this land located in the center of the three nations, once it's restored, they'll send armies to seize it. By then, word games will be meaningless. Ricard affirmed her thoughts. That's right. And that's why the three kingdoms can't easily approach this place. Haley fell into thought. She remembered, in the original story, the three kingdoms were practically enemies. Holt, Casna, and Tula. The three kingdoms were constantly checking each other in the original story, with countless conspiracies unfolding in the shadows. Haley had an epiphany. Now I get it. Why this place remains Marlin's property to this day. If one side makes a move, the other two will be furious. Ricard said exactly. If they're not careful, a third party could profit from the war. To prevent this, the three kingdoms signed a treaty. The treaty states that since the contaminated zone is Marlin's property, no one can claim sovereignty over it. The order even notarized the treaty, so no one dares to be the first to break it. Haley interrupted Ricard. Wait, then why does the order dump criminals on someone else's land without permission? Why not just send them directly to the Lord? Ricard explained, to convince people that God is merciful and loves everyone equally. As representatives of God, the priests of the order cannot kill with their own hands. Haley said sarcastically, wow, should I thank them for that? She rested her chin on her hand. Thanks to this custom of illegal dumping, I survived. And because of it, I got a title and land. Haley leaned back in her chair, a sly look in her eyes. That's right. I'm a Marquee now. Kikyo lamented from his side. A Marquee with no tenant farmers. Not even a single soldier. Haley pointed at Kikyo. What did you say? You are my tenant farmer. Kikyo exclaimed, what did you say? Haley then pointed at Ricard, and he's the soldier. Ricard's lips curled into a smile. Fatima walked over with food, smiling. Hee, then I'll be the cook. Kikyo still looked bewildered. Haley looked at Fatima with approval. Very good, Fatima. You're an ambitious woman. The thought that everything belonged to me completely changed my mindset. From an exile with limited resources and status to a landowner. So now I can do anything. Although the situation hasn't changed, it feels completely different. Fatima sighed. It's like playing house. So much fun. Haley slammed the table. Playing house. She suddenly remembered something. Wait, what was that thing? Ricard said, the declaration of the head of house. In old noble families, when the previous head dies or steps down, the successor gathers the vassals for a declaration. It's an old-fashioned way, but the more traditional the family, the more they insist on it. Haley's eyes lit up after hearing this declaration of the head of house. She cleared her throat. Well then, everyone, I have an important announcement to make. Fatima encouraged her. Go on, future lord. Ricard also looked on expectantly. Kikyo whispered, Lady Haley, don't you feel embarrassed? Haley slammed the table hard. You think feeling embarrassed will magically get you land and a title? You idiot. Haley cleared her throat again. Now, I'm the only one here with the surname Marlin. This means I am the sole heir of Marlin. So from this day forward, I am the Marquee of Marlin. The season had turned to early summer. Fatima directed the ducks. Forward, forward. Not that way, this way. Forward. Any duck that ruins the fields will be eaten. Haley watched this while chewing on bread, thinking, why is she doing that? No matter how loudly she trains them, ducks can't understand human language. Ricard was out hunting, while Kikyo was busy repairing the fields damaged by the ducks. Kikyo laughed as she watered the plants. Haley quietly watched Kikyo talking to the newly sprouted potato seedlings. You've joined our family, so you must repay us with big, round potatoes. Got it, Haley thought. Her tone of voice is like that of a mother-in-law from the Josian era. Haley strolled in the gentle breeze. The sun was warm and pleasant. She held a slice of bread in her hand. The last slice of bread made with the last of our flour. We must now make a choice. Either return to a humble, primitive, ascetic life, or risk venturing into the outside world to buy supplies. Haley shouted, wait. Ricard laughed and urged, hurry up. If we starve to death, you'll be the only one left alive. Fatima also laughed. We'll be in Eve soon. Just hang in there a little longer. Haley shouted impatiently, I know. With the growing tension between Neve and the Holt Kingdom, this was an opportunity for us. For some reason, the border guards of Neve have been arresting people from Holt and locking them up. Thanks to this, people from Holt don't dare to go near that area now. This is very beneficial for us, because Holt is our enemy. Fatima added, the fewer people from Holt, the smaller the chance of us being recognized. Haley nodded, that's right. I caused quite a scene last time. After the conflict in Selbin, the Holt Kingdom tightened its borders around the contaminated zone, because an evil which had appeared in a border village of Holt. According to Ricard, who went to investigate, my story has spread throughout the entire Holt Kingdom. A document read, Demon resurrected from the dead invades Holt. The document described how the noble Cardinal Bishop Eugene was the first to recognize the witch Haley's resurrection. He led his knights to thwart Haley's evil plot, but sadly, many residents of Selbin lost their lives in the process. To this day, their souls still cannot rest in peace in the contaminated zone. At least, that's how the story goes. In reality, the church was just covering up the fact that they tortured the villagers. But who would believe the words of an evil witch? A roaring sound was heard. Ricard stopped warily. Fatima, there are two corpses walking towards us up ahead. See if you recognize them. Fatima observed them carefully and replied, they don't look familiar. The style of their clothes is at least 100 years out of date. They might be from a previous generation. Ricard said, then it's a ripe old age for them to die now. Haley quickly stopped him. No, don't be reckless. I can drive them away. People from a century ago aren't necessarily bad, Haley thought, but now, besides the food crisis, we have another problem. If only there were some miraculous way to distinguish the guilty from the innocent. The purple light on the ground consumed the two corpses. Haley thought, but good things like that don't just fall from the sky. A voice came, you three up ahead, Holt. What is your business in Grandis? You're not from Holt, are you? Fatima answered nervously, and no, we're just looking for someone. My lady's husband had an affair and ran off with the money. Fatima continued to fabricate that my lady couldn't stand it anymore and came to catch them herself. The guard looked at Haley in surprise. Wait, he cheated on such a young wife. What a shameless bastard. Poor lady. Haley thought Fatima's acting is too good. Neve strictly practices monogamy. Exploiting this national pride was a reliable trick that even the original heroine used. The guard pondered, but you're not the one who looks like a noble. He looked at Ricard and asked, who is the man behind you? Haley thought, I knew this would happen. If anyone in our group looks like a noble, it's definitely him, not me. Fatima reacted immediately. This gentleman. Haley looked confused. Fatima announced loudly, he is my lady's lover. Haley was shocked. What? Ricard hugged Haley from behind. Fatima continued, after confirming her husband's infidelity, she will divorce him and marry this gentleman. Neve is also monogamous, right? In our country, you can only remarry after a divorce. Please let us in. We must confirm it. Haley panicked, thinking, what? I didn't expect it to go this far. This sounds too much like a soap opera. The guard laughed. Of course, you can only remarry after a divorce. Open the gate. Let them pass. Haley was stunned. IT opened. They're letting us pass. The guard blessed them. Have a safe journey. Make sure you catch your husband. Haley thought, well, as long as we can get through. Fatima said excitedly, that's great, my lady. We're in, just as you planned. Haley thought this wasn't my plan. This was all Fatima's ability to improvise. Haley patted Fatima's shoulder. Good job, Fatima. Fatima said humbly, it was nothing, my lady. So, my lady, shall we go shopping? Haley replied excitedly, yes. Let's go. The bustling crowd, the unique vitality of a commercial city. Walking step by step on familiar streets felt like coming home. The clanging of hammers from the workshops, the sweet aroma of desserts wafting from the streets. These unplanned luxuries made my wallet open automatically. All sorts of food not seen in the mountains caught my eye. Before I knew it, it was getting late. Haley thought a luxurious inn. I like it. Expensive, delicious, pure happiness. Haley lay on the bed. Fatima asked Haley, I haven't seen Ricard for a while. Do you know where he is? Haley replied, he said he had something to do and would be back soon. He's so diligent. An urgent shout came from outside. Doctor, call a doctor. Haley wondered, why is it so noisy outside the door? What's going on? Everyone was gathered together. The injured man downstairs said, someone's dying. Call a doctor. A commotion was happening downstairs. What happened? Someone's injured. He was bitten by a wolf. Save him. Anyone, please save him. Haley thought a hunter was attacked by a wild beast. But the townspeople's expressions. Two men looked coldly at the man upstairs and roared, get lost, you filthy Holt poachers. There's no doctor in Grandis who will treat you. Yeah, go die in the mountains. Go be wolf food. Fatima said in disbelief, someone is dying, and they're being so cruel. Why do they hate people from Holt so much? Haley sighed. Maybe they brought it on themselves. Haley thought, of all places we had to book this in. I actually know why Neve is so angry with Holt. It was a background setting for a chapter in the original story. The southernmost border city of Holt, which borders Neve. The lord that would smuggle the pelts of Neve's snow beasts to make extra money. But one day, the Lord of Fair was discovered, and he faced a divorce. So he tried to appease his wife with more pelts. The Lord handed over a pile of gold coins, and the hunters immediately crossed illegally into Neve to poach their snow beasts. When the snow beast population plummeted, Neve sent out an investigation team. It got to the point where they were arresting and interrogating all people from Holt. The border lord, afraid of his wife's anger, killed another country's beloved snow beasts. How could they not be angry? Fatima asked curiously, Haley, how do you know all this without ever leaving the house? Haley replied wearily, let's just say I have my sources. A desperate voice came from downstairs. Please, save me. We didn't catch anything. No wild boars, no wolves, nothing. A man grabbed another's collar. Oh, really? Then that wolf tooth pendant on your belt isn't helping her lie. Fatima asked worriedly, what should we do? It seems no one will help them. What if those people really die? Haley replied coldly, leave them, because he will appear soon. Haley's gaze shifted to the window. A solemn voice rang out, stop. A young man appeared at the door, dressed in a white priest's uniform. The young man said, the Lord taught us that even sinners should be loved. These men have done wrong, but we cannot let them die like this. He helped the injured man up. Let me help you stand. The man said gratefully, thank you, young man. The young man continued, but, Father, they slaughtered the snow beasts, the symbol of our Neve kingdom. An old man replied, I know. That's why I don't need your help. The young man pleaded, please allow me to take them to my residence and care for them. Please, I beg you. Fatima sighed. What a man worthy of serving the Lord. If only the clergy in our village were like him. Haley looked at the young man and said calmly, he's not a priest. He's an assassin. The two men beside the young man collapsed in pools of blood. Fatima was shocked. An assassin. Haley thought, I know who he is. Snow-eyed Lingo, the deadliest assassin ever, raised by wolves. Lingo showed a wicked smile. Haley thought, those poachers are all going to die tonight. A long time ago, there was an abandoned child. He was so young, he couldn't even remember his parents' faces. This child, named Snow-eyed Lingo, was raised by white wolves and later became Neve's greatest assassin. In human eyes, this might seem barbaric, but the memory of running with the wolf pack in the snowy mountains was his most precious childhood treasure. His parents, siblings, and friend were always by his side. It was a happy life, until that day came. The leader of their wolf pack was killed by humans. The wolf that was like a parent to him was killed. A group of hunters, mistakenly thinking Lingo was a child kidnapped by wolves, caused the tragedy. The boy, dragged into a whole new world, resisted, but soon realized his world was now here. He could never return to the wolf pack. The boy began to hate humans. Unable to fit into human society, he fled to the underworld and became an assassin, known by the name Lingo. 10 years later, when he heard the news of the white wolves being slaughtered, he naturally came to Grandis for revenge. Haley thought, at least that's how it was written in the novel. But none of this has anything to do with me, because Lingo will meet our dear heroine, find salvation, defeat the villain, and win the loyalty of the fierce snow beasts. I'll just enjoy a luxurious bowl here and go back to my territory tomorrow. I'm not getting involved in his shit. I was sure that's how things were supposed to be. The next day, Lingo smiled. Oh, so you're the client. You said you need a list of those abandoned in the contaminated zone. Haley was shocked. Why are you here? More importantly, why me? Ricard's voice sounded that I was the one who commissioned him. He said if we get rid of the poachers, he'll help us get the list. In return, you will cooperate in eliminating all the Holt poachers. I will help you get the list. Lingo smiled and asked, I heard you're looking for people who were unjustly abandoned in the contaminated zone. Haley looked at Ricard, her eyes filled with shock. Ricard, I know you're in a hurry, but how could you make such a decision on your own? And with someone like Lingo, of all people. On the way to Grandis, we had decided to get the list. Haley thought, even on that short journey, we encountered countless corrupted people. What if those zombies were innocent victims like the lumberjack? Even if we purify them, what if they were actually heinous criminals? Just as I was hesitating, Ricard made a suggestion. A list of the abandoned. Find out who was abandoned there, and then consider whether to purify them. I agreed with Ricard's idea and planned to look for the list. But Ricard looked at Haley and said, this is exactly what you've been worried about. It's a win-win situation. We can also save the poor snow beasts. Haley collapsed on the sofa. No way. But she thought the plan was to come here, stock up on supplies, and then go back and figure things out. Getting him involved was not part of the plan. Lingo looked at Ricard, puzzled. Lingo asked Ricard, what are you worried about? I heard he's your subordinate. Lend him to me until we crush the poachers. Anyone can see he looks like a good fighter. Haley exclaimed, Ricard, wait. A warning flashed through Haley's mind. Lingo met the villain before he met the heroine. The next morning, Haley asked, think about it again. Wouldn't it be better if Fatima came with us too? Ricard said, someone has to watch our luggage. Fatima smiled. Then have a safe trip, Haley. Haley looked at her reluctantly. But Fatima is my vitamin. And so, the three of us set off before sunrise, heading for the Wolfpack's habitat. He said we had to do this to arrive on time. Ricard reminded Haley, don't walk so casually. Use your ankles more. Haley, if you want to walk for a long time in the mountains, protecting your ankles is important. Haley replied, Mem, thanks. Ricard looked at her. You look tired. Haley sighed and replied a little. I had a nightmare last night and didn't sleep well. In last night's dream, all the male leads gathered, but the heroine was nowhere to be seen. A dream where even a supporting character like Lingo was involved. They surrounded me and accused me. Lingo said, what a nightmare. We've only just reached the foot of the mountain, and you're already complaining. This is going to be a problem. You could have just lent us your subordinate. Why do you have to follow us all the way? Haley thought, if I let you two go alone, who knows what would happen? She cleared her throat. Hey, I'm the leader. I have to lead the team. Anyway, what's written on the list? Lingo replied, name, crime, location of abandonment, and the administrator's signature. Haley marveled. Oh, they write it in such detail. I had felt guilty and hesitant about stealing the heroine's opportunity. But seriously, could there be a second chance like this? A chance for Lingo to owe me a favor instead of the heroine, and to get the list of the corrupted. Haley spoke up, all right, I'll cooperate seriously. Now, tell me your plan too. Lingo explained, even if you get rid of all the poachers in the mountains, there's no guarantee Holt won't send more. You have to scare them. Haley asked, how do I scare them? Lingo showed a wicked smile. Skin them and send them to their families. Haley screamed in horror, hey, that's too cruel. Lingo retorted, those bastards caught my family, skinned them, and sold them for money. What's the difference? Haley was speechless. Well, that's true. But Lingo's eyes were cold. Shut up. If you're going to scream, then get lost. Haley thought, his eyes are so murderous. Good thing Ricard is stronger than Lingo. Haley panted as she climbed the mountain. Why is this so hard? In the demonic, energy-filled territory of Marlin, I can hike like this for days. Without demonic energy, I'm just a normal person. Lingo looked at Haley. Wow, that's impressive. I thought you'd collapse and give up halfway. To be able to follow us this far, my dear client, you're amazing. Haley replied, thanks for the compliment. Lingo stated, I'm not one to be stingy with praise. Lingo pointed into the distance. The poachers mainly come from that direction. It's the closest to the Holt border. There's also a path used by herb gatherers behind the valley. Haley exclaimed, wow, how do you plan to stop so many poachers alone in this vast mountain? Lingo shook his head. You can't. I'm not made of iron. If I try and fail, I'll just go kill that so-called border count of Holt. He's a high-ranking noble, so there will be a bounty on his head. It can't be helped. Haley thought, that won't be just a small bounty, it'll be huge. In reality, he can't do it alone. Because in the original story, as soon as the heroine arrived in Grandis, she met a seriously injured Lingo. While treating him, the heroine learned the story behind the snow beasts. She was actually a member of an investigation team sent by King Michelin of Holt, dispatched to resolve the issue of the two countries being on the brink of war due to the poachers. Thanks to meeting Lingo, the heroine discovered the cause of the war and successfully brought the cheating border count to a joint trial held by both countries. After that, Lingo turned over a new leaf and became a true priest of the order. He even volunteered to be her servant and do things for her. But in the original story, to create a tragic atmosphere, he eventually died like a disposable side character. My iron rule is not to get involved with the main characters, no matter what their ending is. But the deal has been made. I have no choice but to step in myself. Under the shade of a tree, Haley and Lingo sat side by side. She rested her chin on her hand, lost in thought. Haley called out, "Ricard, help me catch 2 poachers. Don't hurt them too badly, and don't pick ones that are too old or too young." Ricard appeared from the woods. He responded calmly, "That shouldn't be difficult." Ricard added, "In exchange, you stay put and don't wander off. And you protect my master." The 2 assassins' subordinates nodded in acknowledgement. Ricard turned and left, making an assassin protect me. He's so naive. Haley shuddered, her face instantly turning pale. She suddenly realized, does this mean I'm now alone with this dangerous guy? Lingo's voice sounded, "Client, why are you catching poachers?" Haley froze, blushing and looking a little flustered. She explained, "Threats don't work on those people. With just 1 adult snow beast pelt, they can live without worry for 3 years. Haley asked hesitantly, "Shouldn't life be more important than money?" Lingo leaned against the tree trunk. "That's only temporary." Haley thought, this guy keeps his own identity a secret, but always tries to get information out of others. Haley cleared her throat. "Shut up and just watch. Anyway, if the mission failed, you were planning to kill us anyway, right?" Lingo's eyes sharpened. He watched Haley quietly. Lingo spoke slowly. "You know about me. I thought you were just a rich young lady full of regrets." Lingo stood up, the atmosphere growing tense. He looked down at her and asked, "Were you sent by your superiors? You don't look like you're from a church. Or are you a noble from somewhere?" Haley smiled brightly. "Oh, I look like a noble too? Is having a title that obvious?" The atmosphere suddenly changed. Haley looked straight at him, her eyes fearless. Lingo was momentarily at a loss for words. Lingo narrowed his eyes. "That you're wearing that ridiculous hat. If you're not a noble, what are you?" Haley's lips curved upwards. "What's your name?" "I'm helping you with your threat. Did you think you were the only one who could be scary? If you mess with me, I'll bite back." Lingo's face changed. "What are you muttering about? What else do you know about me? Did you approach me with a purpose?" Haley spoke slowly, snow-eyed Lingo. His pupils contracted sharply. Haley continued, "In case you didn't know, you are Neve's strongest assassin, a child abandoned in the mountains and raised by wolves." She crossed her arms. "I know everything about you, Lingo." Haley thought, "Because I am the most powerful villain in this world." Lingo broke out in a cold sweat. He thought, what the hell is this? The fact that she knows my identity is suspicious enough. This is just creepy. I absolutely cannot get involved. Lingo forced a calm expression. He smiled. "So what? If you know so much. I shouldn't have let your subordinate go off on his own." A flash of purple light. Lingo was struck by an invisible force, stumbling backward in pain. Haley bent down and picked up the fallen hat. She said softly, "My hat." Lingo lay on the ground, completely bewildered. Haley let out a soft laugh. Hee. An assassin who threatens instead of assassinating. Purple energy wrapped around Lingo. He cried out in pain. Lingo shouted, "All right, I surrender. I surrender. Get that thing off me." The hierarchy was established. Haley showed a satisfied smile. Lingo hung his head in defeat. Haley gloated inwardly. Who does he think he's dealing with? After enjoying a half day of mountain camping with a newly subdued Lingo, Ricard returned with the 2 poachers I had requested. Ricard held 2 bound men. They wore wolf tooth accessories and carried the corpse of a wolf cub on their backs, looking every bit the part of vicious poachers. Lingo spoke with a cold smile. "Ah, so clever. Daring to use a cub to catch the mother wolf. Are you even human?" The corpse of a wolf cub lay silently in a pool of blood. Haley stared at the corpse, thinking, it looks like it just died. Its leg is broken. How much pain must that cub have been in, moving around with a broken leg? It must have been desperately calling for its mother. Lingo's voice was icy. "A wolf pack will not abandon a crying cub. I was wondering how trash like you could catch a clever wolf. So, because adult wolves are hard to track, you go after the cubs." The poachers trembled in fear. One of them asked, "Who are you people?" Lingo's eyes were devoid of warmth. He continued, "If the cub dies, you make it into a specimen, right?" Lingo continued to question, "If it lived, would you raise it or sell it?" One poacher roared, "Who the hell sent you?" Lingo spoke coldly, snow-eyed Lingo. "I am a kin of the child you killed." Lingo drew his dagger and lunged at the poacher. The poacher was terrified. Ricard intervened. He grabbed Lingo's wrist. Lingo tried to break free. Lingo roared, "Let go of me. These bastards deserve to die 1,000 deaths." Ricard replied calmly, "You know that killing them like this is not the best way." Lingo's anger completely erupted. "Yes, that's so. Then cancel the mission. I was wrong." Lingo's eyes turned crazed. "I'll hide here forever and enjoy hunting these bastards." "Yes, that's it." Lingo continued to roar. "I'll catch their families, break their legs, and drag them around. That would make us even, right?" In the midst of this chaos, Lingo was furious. Haley slowly walked forward. "That's enough. Lingo, I told you I have a plan." Lingo turned and glared at her. "What plan? You're just as bad." Haley showed a wicked smile. "Honestly, you talk too much. It's time for the boss to step in." Haley turned to the poachers. "You want to live, right? There's one way." The other poacher asked nervously, "What way?" A ball of black energy condensed in Haley's hand. She smiled that it's simple. "Whoever eats this will live." "So who wants to live?" The younger poacher immediately shouted, "Me. I have a wife and kids at home." The older poacher retorted, "Nonsense. He's long been divorced and live alone." The older poacher pleaded, "And my mother is sick. If I don't go back, there's no one to take care of her." Haley asked with amusement, "Oh, your mother is very sick?" The older poacher nodded repeatedly, "Yes." Haley instructed, "Then you should hurry home. Ricard, release this one." Ricard untied the ropes. The older poacher looked bewildered. "Huh." Haley leaned in and whispered in his ear, "Go back to Holt immediately." The one who gave the order this time was the Marquee of Holt, right? His face turned pale. Haley continued, "Go to that bastard and beg him to save you. Tell him this is all because of you." He cried out in pain. The older poacher ran away screaming. Haley watched his retreating back. The younger poacher knelt on the ground. Haley asked, "How long does it take to get home?" The older poacher's figure disappeared in the distance. He replied, "A day or two." Haley thought, "At that speed, one day will be enough." The younger poacher turned to Haley. "What did you inject him with? Was it contamination?" "No. Is it demonic energy?" Haley smiled. "Dado, you know? What happens after being contaminated by demonic energy?" The poacher's face turned pale with shock. The younger poacher roared, "Who the hell are you? What have you done? What if he goes home and attacks them?" Haley said calmly, "That's why I sent him back." Haley turned to the younger poacher. "Go back and tell them that the guy who ran away was contaminated by demonic energy for poaching snow beasts. The contaminated zone is spreading towards the Grandis Mountains. This is your reward." She handed him a bag of money. "Tell them that getting too close will lead to the same fate as the others." The young poacher muttered in confusion, "Why, but why?" Haley added, "If you don't do a good job, this terrifying assassin will show up and slit your throat." The poacher trembled and asked, "Why are you doing this? Who are you?" Haley's eyes deepened. She spoke slowly, "Me? I'm Marquee of Marlin." The young poacher heard this and fled into the forest in a panic. Haley smiled as she watched him go. Haley spoke. "That should do it, right, Lingo?" Lingo looked dazed. A few days later, we stayed a few more days at the inn in Grandis to confirm whether the poacher I sent back had completed his mission. But Lingo was hiding behind Ricard, scary woman. So scary. Haley held up food on her fork. "Hey, can't you just eat properly?" Haley thought, "Looks like my threat was too effective." Lingo asked nervously, "Why are you concerned about my food? Did you put demonic energy in it too?" Haley roared, "How could I?" She explained, "I've already said it. When the second poacher went back, I marked him with demonic energy. The first poacher will be contaminated and lose his mind in a day or two. The second one will take twice as long. Rumors will spread like wildfire. Since it's related to demonic energy, the Marquee of Holt will have no choice but to report it to the church. Poaching is a serious crime, and their crimes will also be made public." Lingo asked, "Do you think the world will follow your script? What if the church sends a bunch of holy knights to investigate?" Haley said leisurely, "That would be for the best." Lingo was shocked at what's so good about that. Haley continued to explain, "You should know that the kingdoms of Holt and Neve are on the brink of war over the poaching issue. With holy knights present, who would dare to send troops? Even poachers won't be able to get close. Forget catching snow beasts. They won't even be able to catch a rabbit." Lingo had a realization that, is that so? Haley thought, "If the plan goes smoothly, the only one who loses out is me. Because I never intended to come to Grandis in the first place. Oh well, it's not like I was planning to live a clean life anyway." Fatima rushed, "My lord. The Marquee of Holt has sent an envoy to Grandis. They reported to the church that the contaminated zone is spreading towards the mountains and requested cooperation." Haley asked, "What did the Lord of Grandis say?" The maid replied, he told them to get lost. How bold. What the Lord of Grandis actually meant was, if you want to cooperate, first admit to the poaching, you bastard. This way, the Marquee of Holt wouldn't dare to act rashly. Haley thought, having done this much, the mission is complete. What happens next, whether the two countries go to war or the holy knights are dispatched, has nothing to do with me. Haley said to Lingo, hey, bring me the list. If you break our deal, I'll turn you into one of those poachers. Lingo was silent for a moment. He replied, I keep my promises, but I need a little time. After those words, time passed quietly. Lingo handed over a document. Here you go. Haley was a bit surprised. You got it so quickly? To be honest, did you have it from the start? Or is the church's security that bad? Lingo retorted excitedly. How could that be? Do you think it's easy to sneak into the church? This is all thanks to my outstanding skills. Haley smiled. All right. She thought, even if the document is a forgery, I can't verify it now. I can only choose to believe him. Anyway, since he worked hard to get it. Haley held out her hand. She smiled. Good work, Lingo. Lingo stared at her hand, stunned. Lingo jumped back abruptly. You want to kill me to silence me, don't you? Lingo shouted excitedly. What a terrifying woman. I was just praising you for a job well done. Haley put her hands on her hips. Your identity can't be exposed either, right? Weren't you planning to kill me to silence me too? Lingo. Lingo denied. I was just planning to follow you secretly. Haley pointed to the window. You can go now. Get lost. Lingo clicked his tongue. Fine, I'm going. He turned to leave. Haley thought, he's actually using the main door. The door closed softly. Haley stood in the moonlight, muttering to herself, an assassin should use the window. The guy has no style. And just like that, my first meeting with Lingo came to an end. With the Lingo business concluded, we got a sturdy, large carriage and stocked up on all sorts of supplies to make the journey more comfortable. We finished our business and left Grandis. 3 days later, in the kitchen of Marlin Castle, Kikyo's face was full of happiness that I'm so glad I survived. This must be what they call sweetness after bitterness. Fatima said, I'm happy to see you too. She turned to Haley. But Lady Haley, what on earth are you wearing? Haley was dressed in a gorgeous magenta gown, looking radiant. Kikyo asked, what made you suddenly want to dress up like a clown? Haley looked aghast at a clown. You talk just like Lingo. What's wrong with this dress? Fatima picked it out for me. It's cute. Kikyo said loudly. Cute? When I first saw you, I thought some demon doll had gotten out of the carriage. Haley responded angrily. Demon? Demon? That hurts my feelings. Haley retorted. And you think you're a cute fairy? You're just a fallen, carnivorous dryad. Fatima tried to mediate. Just praise her. She specifically changed in the carriage just to show her pretty side. Kikyo whispered to the maid, is this what humans consider pretty? Haley fumed. I can't hear you whispering. Ricard walked over. Haley, if you're just going to stand there in the way, at least go get some sugar. Haley crossed her arms. I'm mentally and physically exhausted. I'm not in the mood to work. Ricard urged. Haley, don't be like that. Wait, where are you going? Haley stormed out. How dare you make the Lord do work? She went into the study alone and placed the document on the desk, sighing deeply that I made an excuse to leave, but it wasn't entirely a lie. The list of those exiled to the contaminated zone arrived faster than I expected. I have the list, but I'm not sure if I can do it. Can I really restore them to their original state? The human body is fragile. One wrong step could lead to biological death, or they could turn into a demon like the spider before. The weight of responsibility and fear pressed down on my heart, but I'm the only one who can do it. I'll find a way. I must practice extracting the demonic energy as if pulling out a single strand of hair, using my own body to practice. For some reason, the demonic energy is completely harmless to me. It was difficult at first. If I don't concentrate, my mana will break or dissipate. I fail many times, but I stubbornly tried again and again. Eventually, I succeeded in forming a long black thread. It wrapped around a thick blood vessel and then returned to my body. Now, I have to make it thinner and longer, turning it into countless threads that branch out like tree limbs. Only then can I control him as I please, just like my own arms and legs. From that day on, I focused on my evolution practice until nosebleeds became a common occurrence. Fatima called out, Miss, where are you going again? Haley replied, to purify my mana. I can control my mana more precisely than before. Kikyo watched Haley's retreating figure and asked, "Why have you been acting like someone's chasing you lately? You'll collapse if you keep this up." Haley's voice came from distance. "I won't collapse. I'll be back soon." Time passed like that, and the season turned to summer. The crops Kikyo had carefully tended bore fruit. Haley turned back with a brilliant smile. "Let's go." Ricard was heading to Selbin. "I'm finally ready." A few months ago, just after Haley left Grandis, Yenna shouted, "How could this have happened? Poaching is a serious crime. Is it not comparable to a border lord harming a protected species from a foreign country? Sir Eugene, what if this leads to a war causing countless deaths?" So the church claims it will investigate the contaminated zone, letting the punishment for the poachers fall through. Eugene listened quietly, his expression grave. He spoke, "Announce immediately that the church will investigate this matter, and simultaneously put the border lord who ordered the poaching on trial." Yenna nodded. Eugene continued, "And declare the blood beast's habitat and the surrounding mountains a forbidden zone." He picked up his teacup, making a soft sound. He added, "What about those other men? The poachers who claimed to have seen the manna spreading." The man had a sudden realization and said, "I forgot to tell you about them. If you're referring to those men, the first one was already completely contaminated when he was found. He tried to attack people and was killed on the spot by soldiers. The second one, who came to report him, was captured in Holt. He's currently being held in our parish." Eugene said with a sharp gaze, "I need to see him." The man quickly replied, "Yes, sir. Of course." Eugene clenched his fist. "It's them. They must have come into contact with Haley. Soon, I'll know where she is." Ever since meeting Haley in Selbin, Eugene had stayed there waiting for her. But no matter how long he waited, she never returned. He couldn't forget the look of contempt and the frosty, cold eyes as Haley turned and walked away. "I want to tell you, it was a misunderstanding. I tried to save you. I joined this damned church and became a cardinal bishop, all to protect you. But why were you with Ricard Winter? They were so close, so warm and familiar." Ricard Winter is supposed to hate Haley. He's a beast who lives only for revenge. Eugene's expression was grave as he fell into thought. Yenna entered and said, "Sir Eugene." She reported, "There's urgent news from the Holt border," pointing to Neve. "The Holt border lord reports that the manna from the contaminated zone seems to have spread, crossing the border into the Grandis Mountains. He is very concerned about this." Eugene asked. Neve remained silent, yet Holt is the one to first express concern over the damage to another country and even offer help. Yenna replied, "It is indeed suspicious, but the spread of contamination is a fatal problem for everyone in the border regions." Eugene suddenly paused. "Wait, the manna from the contaminated zone has spread? This has never happened in history, except for Haley, whom I met in Selbin not long ago. Haley is in Grandis." Eugene stood up and said, "I'm leaving 2 paladins and 12 soldiers to watch Selbin. The rest is up to you." Yenna looked surprised. "Sir Eugene." Eugene said, "I'm leaving for Grandis immediately." An attendant led the way. "This way, Sir Eugene." Eugene replied, "All right, thank you." Lingo thought to himself, "It's just as that woman said. The Lord is on trial, and the snow beast habitat has been made a forbidden zone. The church rarely moves this fast, but by the time they arrive, they'll only find a corpse. The timing was perfect. I just killed that good-for-nothing in the Grandis prison. The church might strike first before the second poacher dies from the contamination." Haley's voice echoed in his mind. "I end that situation. Lingo, you must protect the client's identity to the very end." Lingo showed a slight smile and said, "What a terrifying woman. But it's been a long time since I've had a client I liked this much." He looked around. "Anyway, thanks to the Cardinal Bishop's visit, there are knights everywhere. So where to next?" Lingo walked alone on a stone path. "How about a food tour this time? There's a village in Holt where the inn's food is said to be amazing." Where was it again? He had a sudden realization that, I remember now. It was in some remote mountain village. Right, it was Selbin. Sunlight filtered through the forest. Haley unfolded a map, her expression puzzled. Ricard stood behind her, watching quietly. The contaminated zone was vast, and there were many contaminated humans. In a place like this, the chances of running into the same people were minuscule, and they were constantly on the move. So we decided to narrow our search area and look only around Selbin for 10 days. A few men suddenly appeared from the woods. Haley shouted in surprise, "Oh, you're still here." Fortunately, the loggers were still standing there. It was the exact spot where we last met them that we're lucky. Ricard said, "Tio thinks it's been 3 months since we last saw them." Haley, however, was pondering, why are they so attached to this place? The logging site was close to the contamination border. A little further up, there was a hill overlooking Selbin. The contaminated men let out a low growl. Even though they were contaminated, did they still remember their hometown? Haley took a deep breath, thinking, don't be nervous. We practiced enough. I'm ready now. They will definitely be purified. Haley smiled and walked forward. Long time no see, sirs. She continued, I'm a little late. Is that so? During this time, I've been agonizing over whether to purify you or not. Ricard placed a hand on Haley's shoulder. My life's motto is to live as if I'm ready to die. But the more I think about it, the more I hate seeing you all abandoned like this. Haley looked at the man. You warned me to be careful, didn't you? If you hadn't been kind to me that day, you wouldn't be like this now. So I'm here to help you. She placed her hand on him, and a beam of blue light enveloped them. It's all right now. A dazzling light swept through the entire forest, restoring the contaminated to their original state. It was a mentally taxing and arduous task. Haley held his hand. Every wisp of mana had to be drawn out without a trace, while not harming the body in the slightest. This process had to be repeated 3 times. One man covered his mouth in shock. Another was in tears. He whispered in awe. Finally, we managed to bring them all back. The man trembled. He cupped Haley's face and said, I can't believe it. Miller, you're back too. One man shouted excitedly, this is great. This is truly great. Miss, thank you so much. Another rescued man collapsed on the ground. It had been the most terrifying experience of his life. Haley smiled, thinking we really did it. We didn't leave a single one behind. The worries of the past few months had paid off. She was on the verge of tears, but the joy lasted only a moment. She shouted no. I said no. Why are you all being like this? A heated argument ensued. The loggers insisted on repaying her. How can we just let our benefactor leave? Why bring up the law now? If it weren't for you, miss, we'd all be dead. Even if we have nothing, we want to give you everything we have. Please come to our home. My wife has some gold saved under the kitchen floor. Haley shouted, I'm already very rich, right, Ricard? Ricard said, Haley's only asset is money. The man said, how about I give you my house deed? Haley immediately refused. No. Do you know how high the property prices are in Selbin? Haley turned and said, that's enough. There's nothing more between us. Just help us get out of the contaminated zone. Understand? The loggers looked troubled and were speechless. One logger whispered, Miss, is it really not okay? At least let us treat you to a meal. I told you no. There's no benefit in attracting the attention of the people of Selbin. We were planning to escort these people out before dawn, but we ran into an unexpected situation. Haley looked at the village in shock. What is this? Why is it like this? All the houses are empty. Good heavens, what on earth happened in the village? Ricard said, let's go in and take a look. He walked into a house. This house was well maintained until recently. It doesn't look like it was permanently abandoned. Haley said, then how did everyone disappear in the middle of the night? Did the church lock everyone up to continue the trials? Ricard interrupted her. I doubt the cardinal bishop has that much free time. And the atmosphere in the whole village is eerie. I'll go check things out. You hide nearby. Haley urged, you'd better come back quickly. With so many of us moving together, we'll definitely attract the church's attention. We must stay as far away from the village as possible. Haley said to the loggers, let's go midong. As we circled back to the village entrance, the sound of hurried footsteps approached. Ricard shouted, run, Haley. Haley turned in alarm. What? How did you get back so quickly? Run. Into the contaminated zone. Ricard was covered in blood, running in a panic. Haley was terrified and asked why. Why is he running towards me? So fast. It's terrifying. Why is there blood on your face? Ricard pulled Haley along as they fled, saying, it's not my blood. Something happened in Selbin. It seems the church might be involved. Haley pressed, what happened? Ricard answered, a paladin turned into a monster. Selbin was destroyed because of it. The church's other paladins and all the soldiers were mobilized to suppress him. I think that's why they locked everyone in the temple. They have to hide the fact that a paladin blessed by God turned into a monster. Haley shouted, are they insane? If even the paladins can't stop it, everyone in town will be slaughtered. What about the monster? Do you think the church's forces are enough? Ricard replied, the monster seemed to get stronger by killing its fellow paladins and absorbing their power. So I cut off its head. Everyone in the church saw it. Run. Haley said in disbelief, my God, what a fate. But are you sure you killed it? Ricard answered, I'm sure. I severed half of its neck. Haley looked back in terror and said, then what's that thing chasing us? The loggers screamed in terror. Ricard also looked back in shock. How is that possible? How is that thing still alive? Ricard turned to the loggers and said, everyone, follow Haley into the contaminated zone. The loggers replied, yes, sir. The monster reattached its head. Ricard's expression was grim, a monster indeed. In that case, we'll need a different approach. Now, Ricard leaped up and charged at the monster. I'll cut its head off one more time. He swung his sword. The blade sliced precisely across the monster's neck. Haley cheered from behind him. Good job, partner. Ricard turned and roared. I told you to stay away. Suddenly, his pupils contracted. The monster's arm had blocked his sword. Since beheading doesn't work, Ricard turned his blade towards the monster's arm. With a flash of his sword, the monster's arm was severed. It fell to the ground and stopped moving. Is the answer the heart? Ricard said, looking at the fallen monster. Haley, doesn't it look familiar? Haley looked at the monster, which was emitting a purple energy. Its heart was filled with mana, an astonishing amount for a human. And this was in a paladin's heart, a place that should have been filled with divine power. Divine power is an innate force. The church seeks out children who show signs of it from a young age and cultivates them. Only the most outstanding and resilient among them become paladins. Mana flowing from a paladin's heart, which should be filled with divine power. This means the church must have forcibly injected it with mana. Haley gave a cold smile, thinking, look at these bastards. She looked into the distance and called out, Ricard. Ricard replied, Haley said, if things continue like this, life will become even harder for the residents of Selbin, won't it? If it's the church, they'll want to wipe Selbin off the map to cover this up. Ricard answered, that's right. Haley's hand gently stroked the railing. Honestly, it seems there's no other way. She smiled and turned back. Let's help them one more time. Selbin was in chaos. The church stood under a turbulent sky. The village had just held a religious trial. A door was kicked open, hanging precariously. That paladin had turned into a monster. He slaughtered the villagers. A white-haired man opened a door and said to the hiding villagers, everyone can come out now. The monster has been dealt with. Go home one by one. The future of Selbin was uncertain, but humanity had to prepare for the worst tragedies. Ricard shouted, Haley. Haley turned around. Ricard reported the situation. 2 paladins are dead. The rest of his soldiers have fled. He looked at Haley and asked, so what's your plan? Haley pondered, thinking, I do have a plan, but it would be better if I had one more person to help. She turned in surprise. A man in a cloak stood at the door. I thought I'd never see you again. The man smiled faintly. I didn't expect to run into you so soon. Haley looked at him, and a thought came to her. Found my helper. She recognized him. Lingo. A door was thrown open violently, and Lingo was tossed inside, his hands tied. He looked up and glared. Hey, what the hell? We've only been working together for a short time. This is too rough. He knelt on the floor, questioning Haley, who stood opposite him. What on earth are you doing here? Haley stood with her hands on her hips, looking down at him. That's my line. Why are you here? He explained, after you left, the church's dogs swarmed into Grandis. There's no way to make a living there. Do you think I followed you here because I had no clients? He laughed helplessly that I was planning to hide for a while, but then a monster showed up and I got locked in the temple. She pointed at Lingo. Perfect. Since you're free, I need you to find someone for me. Lingo was confused. Why me? Haley held out a money pouch. Lingo took it. He asked curiously, who am I looking for? My dear demon Marquee. Haley replied, Eugene Widemark, a young cardinal bishop of the church. Lingo's face changed at if it's that man, he should be in Grandis right now. I ran here 2 months ago to get away from him. Haley thought, 2 months ago. That's when I last went to town for shopping. He followed me here. Lingo held up a gold coin, a 100-year-old gold coin. It's worth a fortune. She looked at Lingo seriously. Count, you know that, right? Haley ordered, since you've taken the money, hurry to Grandis. Tell him what happened in Selbin, and that I want to see him. She continued to instruct, come alone to the Selbin logging site in a week. No attendance allowed. Tell him this is his last chance to speak with Haley Marin. If he misses it, he'll never see me again. That day, the blizzard was unusually fierce. A cloaked figure appeared outside the house in the snow. Let me stay for a few days. Once my mana recovers, I'll leave and go far away. Eugene looked at the visitor before him. The red-haired Haley pleaded, Eugene, just let me stay here for a while. 2 winters ago, a red-haired woman in a white cloak panted in the snowstorm. It was Haley. At that time, Haley was accused of assassinating the king of Holt and had fled to Eugene's residence. Eugene questioned her in the snow. But where's your lover? Your soulmate? Wouldn't it be more logical to beg him? Haley turned away, move. I didn't come here for your nagging. Eugene's face fell. Haley, are you just going to keep running like this? He proposed a solution. that I'll make a statement. That should solve the problem. All you have to do is appear in court and confess. Confess that you were deceived by Cyril Vanthian. Haley's back was to him, her hood obscuring her face. Eugene continued. The massacre of the Winter family and the murder of the Tadion family's heir. He did it all. He didn't assassinate the King of Holt. It was all Micklin and his mother's fault. Haley roared, "Shut up." She turned to face Eugene. "Stay out of my business. I'll handle it myself." Eugene retorted, "Do you think they'll thank you? Do you think they'll repay you?" Haley argued emotionally. "I never expected any reward. So what if the truth comes out? At least you'll know you sacrificed for them. Will that satisfy you?" She cried out in pain. "I don't want to be trash that's used and thrown away." Even though she knew in her heart that she had been betrayed and abandoned, Haley refused to admit it. Eugene pleaded, "Please, Haley, you'll die. If you die taking risks for them, what am I supposed to do? Just stand by and watch." Eugene's inner monologue. Haley was always a sucker for my tears. Eugene shed a tear. "If you die, how am I supposed to live? Don't you care what happens to me?" As always, she would hug and comfort me. He reached out his hand. Yes, in the end, she would yield to me. Haley said, "I'd rather die." She looked coldly at the crying Eugene, her eyes resolute. She spoke, "I never asked you to understand me, and I never asked you to save me. I just asked you to let me stay for a few days." A pang hit Eugene's heart. "Cruel Haley, you abandoned me after all." Eugene turned and ordered, "Get out. Go. I don't care if they catch you or put you on trial. Do as you please." Haley shouted emotionally, "Stop. You can't do this. You're my family." Eugene calmly denied it. "Family? No, I'm not." Haley was stunned. Eugene, with his back to Haley, said, "Haley, you know I love you. Even when you said you loved Cyril Vanthian, even when you made vows with Micklin Holt, I still loved you." He shed a tear. "We promised never to betray each other, but you abandoned me for other men, and now you're ready to die for them. However, you were the one who betrayed me first." Haley pleaded, "Don't be like this. You're the only one I can rely on." In her memory, a young Haley and Eugene sat together. They were once everything to each other, always able to rely on one another. But those days were long gone. Eugene opened the door and stood in the snowstorm. "Never come back. Go find the men you love and rely on them. Family time is over. Goodbye, Haley." From the novel, she knew very well of Eugene's regret that day and of that obsessive, selfish love. But the Haley in the novel never realized Eugene's madness until the very end. In Haley's heart, Eugene was always a puppy that needed her care. And a puppy can't be blamed. It can't bear responsibility either. Is it all the owner's fault? Haley thought with a determined gaze. Unfortunately, I don't think so. She looked at the figures of Eugene and Lingo. Her puppy had grown up. Now it was time for him to repay the favor of being raised. At the logging site, Haley shouted to Eugene in the distance, "It seems you've forgotten our agreement. Let me remind you, Eugene Widemark. If you want to talk to me, come alone. Have a priest with you wait." Eugene put a hand on Lingo's shoulder. Lingo was completely confused. The priest? He saw Haley on the hillside. He shouted, "It's me, Lingo. The cardinal bishop took me hostage. Save me, demon Marquee." The rope tightened sharply, and Lingo was pulled to the ground. He cried out in pain. Haley looked down at the bound Lingo. "Lingo, you've really gotten weak. To be caught by a cardinal bishop who does nothing but flip through scriptures." Lingo quickly defended himself. "No, it's not like that." Eugene said, "I was lying in ambush, waiting. The poacher I had locked in the dungeon was killed by an assassin. I'm sure you did it. I wanted to see you, Haley." Eugene embraced her. Haley stiffened. Haley struggled violently. "What are you doing? It's disgusting. Let go of me." Her face flushed red. "You bastard. I'm not your Haley." Ricard rushed forward and grabbed Eugene's collar. He demanded, "Eugene Widemark, what do you think you're doing?" Ricard glared at Eugene. "Don't you understand what a conversation is?" Eugene looked at him. Ricard. Lingo stared at them in alarm. What's their relationship? Is he crazy? A priest of God hugging the demon duke. Haley said to Ricard, "That's enough. Ricard, you and Lingo step aside for now." Lingo pointed at himself. "Dump me? I'll just watch quietly from here." Haley said impatiently, "You're in the way." She turned to Eugene. "You too. Stay away from me. Don't touch me again without permission." Eugene was more persistent than Ricard. I had to be firm, even cold, to make him return to his original distance. Eugene began, "Give me a chance to apologize." Haley was taken aback. "What?" Eugene explained, "I've been regretting that day ever since. That's why I kept searching for you. I believed you were still alive." Eugene asked with a sincere gaze, "If I leave the church and come back for you, will you forgive me? Or I could go kill Cyril Vanthian and Micklin Holt. I'll do anything you wish." Haley thought, you're quite obedient. But since I'm not the real Haley, what's the point? Haley cut him off. "Eugene, I didn't call you here to talk about the past." Eugene said, "Then what is it worth for you to forgive me?" Haley interrupted him. "But there is one thing you need to do. As requested, Lingo explained the situation in Selbin to Eugene. I just needed to add some key information. A heart that should have been filled with divine power was consumed by magic, and it was a monster artificially created within the church. Haley wondered if Eugene was also involved. Eugene said, "Haley, I knew nothing about this." Haley thought, if Eugene really wasn't involved, he probably doesn't trust that newly appointed cardinal bishop either. Eugene said, "If what you're saying is true, the church will burn down all of Selbin to cover up the truth." Haley said, "Yes, I know." Haley looked at Eugene and said, "This is exactly what you need to do. Stop the church from harming the residents of Selbin." She continued, "Announce that the mastermind is Marquee. Say that the evil sorceress Haley has created a demon this time. A red-haired woman dancing with a skeleton. Since many people have witnessed me using magic, the church will support your story to cover up the truth." Eugene said, "I object. This will only damage your reputation again." "Haley, why do you always?" Haley retorted, "Are you a fool? What reputation do I have left?" She stared at Eugene. "You said you wanted to apologize. You weren't just saying that, were you? My infamy will deepen, but as long as the truth isn't revealed, the church won't forcibly destroy Selbin." Eugene sighed. "All right." He continued, "But you promised to come alone. Shouldn't you give me a chance to speak as well?" Haley said, "Fine. What do you want to say? That you used me to become a cardinal bishop and then abandoned me? Or that you insisted on depleting my mana and leaving me in the corrupted land?" Eugene pleaded, "Please, Haley, I want to clear up that misunderstanding." Eugene explained, "I did it to protect you. If you didn't have mana, people wouldn't fear you and hunt you down." Haley was stunned. "What?" Eugene continued emotionally. "Even when all 3 kingdoms wanted to execute you, I went alone to persuade the church. I said that instead of executing you, it would be better to send you to the corrupted land. I knew you wouldn't die there." Haley thought, what are you even talking about? "Haley, you fool. Did you love this man as your only family?" She questioned Eugene. "As long as I'm alive, that's enough? You mean you'll protect me? So I just have to stay alive?" Haley said with a laugh, "Eugene, wake up. Do you even know what you've done?" For Haley, all she had was her magic. No lover, friends, or family. Nothing. Even when she thought she had everything, it was all fake. Magic was the only thing that could protect me. The only thing in this world that truly belonged to me. And you, Eugene, took Haley's magic away. Haley continued, "So what if people call me a demon? That was the power that protected me." Eugene retorted, "But you used that power to kill people. Cyril Vanthian, Micklin Holt, you kept killing people with magic, claiming it was for those scumbags." Haley shouted, "I had no choice. That was my only bargaining chip." Eugene also shouted, "I had to stop those who insisted on burning you alive." Haley whispered, "Eugene, have you forgotten how you became a cardinal bishop? I made you a cardinal bishop by causing floods and plagues, killing people. You went there and became a miracle-working saint." Haley exposed him. "Admit it. You betrayed me because your love wasn't returned. Stop pretending it was to protect me." Eugene fell to his knees. Haley thought, "I want to tell you honestly. The real Haley died in Marin Castle, consumed by hatred and betrayal. In the end, she chose death. You knew Haley well enough to know she could survive in the corruption, but you didn't know she couldn't bear the loneliness and sorrow." Eugene admitted, "Haley, I was wrong." He grabbed Haley's sleeve. "That I'll apologize 100 times, 1,000 times, until you forgive me. As long as I can be forgiven, I'm willing to wait 10 years. Haley said to Eugene, "Can you not say such heavy things?" Eugene continued to plead, "If you want me to kneel, I'll kneel. If you want my life, I'll give it." Haley shouted, "I don't need it. Let go of me." Haley shouted, "What kind of nonsense is he spouting? Get a grip." Ricard stepped forward. Haley questioned Eugene, "You're not a 5-year-old. Why are you so clingy? If I'm gone, will the world collapse?" Eugene said, "Don't leave me." Haley continued to scold him. "Have some independence, will you? Do you have no self-respect or pride? What have you done with your life, you fool? How are you going to survive in this cruel world?" Eugene reached up to wipe his tears. "Haley, don't be like that." Eugene pleaded, "I won't be greedy anymore. I'll be your family again. I'll listen to you." Haley thought, this novel really made the male leads too beautiful. Now I understand why Haley was soft on Eugene's tears. I'm not Eugene's family. I'm not the little girl who shared his loneliness in the cold orphanage. The Haley who killed and did evil is no longer here. I become a stranger with no connection to Eugene. Lingo yawned. When will this disgusting drama end?" Haley said to Eugene, "All right, I don't hate you. I don't really resent you. So don't worry." Eugene asked, "What do you mean? Don't worry about it? How can I not worry?" Haley comforted him, "Don't worry. You'll soon experience the love of the century. Eugene was puzzled. What? Haley continued, among the 3 male leads, you're the least bad. So I'm telling you, you'll become a woman's 3rd husband. Eugene looked confused. Haley added, you'll suffer from jealousy, but accept it. That's your destiny. Ricard interrupted impatiently. Stop spouting nonsense. Although Eugene seemed to have trouble accepting my revelation, he accepted my initial proposal. Eugene said, I'll stay in Selbin for a while. Come find me anytime you need something. Haley looked at Eugene and said, although the paladin order is gone, there are still limitations. I'll make sure no more heretic trials happen here. All right, I trust you. Eugene reminded her. However, those loggers shouldn't stay in the village. Many people know they were corrupted. If rumors spread that you purified and are harboring the corrupted, the church will tighten its net to hunt you down. Haley said, that's fine, but the loggers will be captured again. Eugene replied, probably. Haley decided, then I'll take them with me. Eugene smiled. Marin Castle seems like a livable place. Haley smiled back at him. Maybe it is now. At least it's better than the outside. Marin Castle, a place without freedom, where food was scarce and necessities lacking. This was the only refuge for those abandoned by the world. No one in their right mind would choose to live here. There were fugitives, the falsely accused, heretical elf slayers, and a few others. By rights, no one should be here. A voice called out, hey everyone. A young woman approached. They said cheerfully, the cleaning is done. The clothes are all hung out to dry. It was quick since you don't have many clothes, my lady. The young woman added, but the kitchen work looks like it'll take a while. Madam, can we help? The Marchioness gladly accepted. That would be a great help. The military rations are enough for 2. Could you handle the vegetables? The young woman replied happily, yes, ma'am. Fatima? Haley thought, why has the number of people to feed increased so much? Her brow furrowed. I never intended to take them in as my subject from start. I just wanted to settle the loggers' families who had lost their homes in a safe community. Haley said, all the knights Eugene brought have gone to Selbin. Ricard added, the city is in an uproar because the church's confidential documents were stolen. Headquarters sent knights over. Confidential documents? Could it be the one the Marquee requested? I knew it. According to Ricard's reconnaissance report, it's currently impossible to enter Grandis illegally. Haley panicked. This is bad. I was planning to drop them off and return to the castle, but I can't send them back to Selbin either. If the church finds out this family returned from the contaminated land, the consequences would be dire. Haley shouted in frustration. Why did it turn out like this? Fatima's family called out from behind her, madam. They hid in the carriage in fear. Then where should we go? Haley sighed at all life. She smiled at them and said, for now, let's go home. And so, the family became temporary refugees in Marin Castle. But no matter how I look at it, they're definitely planning to settle here. She said to Ricard in frustration, then why go to all this trouble? We don't have the means to feed so many people. I just don't feel comfortable. Ricard replied calmly, so what? We should accept it with gratitude. Just as you extended a helping hand, they just want to return the kindness. Haley looked at him in surprise, but it's rare for you to say something so human. She thought, actually, I know that too. I'm so glad you're all right. I've been so worried since the church took you away. Thanks to the former lord taking care of me, I've been doing well. Madam, are you too thin? The young woman sighed. With my husband like that, I couldn't even eat. Fatima said firmly, we owe the madam our lives. We can't keep relying on others. All right, let's help out. Let's start with the laundry. Is there a well or a stream here? Fatima said, then can you help me prepare the pickled foods? The woman said, leave it to me. Haley thought, I know they're grateful, and I don't expect anything in return. But hearing them say these reasonable things still annoys me. Ricard, at least you shouldn't be like this. I thought you were just as bad at handling people as I am. Meanwhile, an elf was skillfully coaxing the humans. Kikyo feigned ignorance. I know nothing about farming. Human bread crops are hard to grow. A woman said to Kikyo, it's amazing that you can grow such healthy strawberries in this barren land. Kikyo asked happily, really? Am I that good? The woman smiled and replied, of course, it's really amazing. This land isn't suitable for farming. The sand-to-soil ratio is high here, and it's hard to irrigate over there. Why don't we cultivate a field outside the castle walls? You have seeds, right, elf? Let's plant them together. I'll do my best to help. And just like that, the suddenly increased number of helpers spread to every corner of Marin Castle. The newly cultivated fields took root in the fertile soil. Marin Castle, abandoned for 100 years, began to become orderly. Haley thought, all right, I admit they can bring positive changes to this impoverished castle. But what about them? Is this really a place where a young person and some families with children can settle down? In my isolated castle, I can't guarantee their future. Haley saw the men fixing a window and asked, what are you doing here? The man replied, the window in your room madam, has been rattling all night. We'll fix your room first, then build houses for ourselves. Haley asked, "You're gonna build houses? Do you think I'll just watch you settle here? If I could, I would have kicked you out already." The man smiled and said, "Even if you say that, I won't leave. Besides, if we go out, we'll just be hiding from the church anyway. I'd rather stay here, by the side of my lifelong benefactor. Isn't it better for you to live with our family than to be all alone, madam?" Haley was speechless. The window in her room, which once creaked every time it was opened, now opened and closed smoothly without any strange noises. Haley thought, "I still think 4 residents are enough for Marin Castle." But she said softly, "Thank you. You've worked hard. Now that my room is fixed, go build houses for yourselves." The man smiled, "That you're welcome." "Madam," Ricard called from below. "Haley, come down for a moment. Building houses is all well and good, but there's a more urgent construction plan. We're going to build a bridge on the cliff. A bridge connecting to the Casnatura border. Grandis city center." A blue-haired man was agitated. "Damn it, I shouldn't have gotten involved with that cunning woman again. Before I knew it, I had taken her money again." The naive logger family had no idea who Haley Marin was. Her moist eyes made them easily indebted to her. But for someone like me who lives in the shadows, her name is one I must remember and never forget, although her reputation doesn't match reality. He recalled his conversation with Haley, "That you're not going to follow me, are you? I wasn't planning to in the first place, and I absolutely refuse to run into her by chance again." Haley asked, "Now that we're leaving, how about a job?" "What, another shady job? The pay should be good, right?" Haley replied, 5 gold coins, 10 times that upon success. Haley's task was to investigate the fake knights created by the church. The blue-haired man thought, "The Marquee only asked me to investigate. She didn't say it had to be secret. In that case, let's make things a little more interesting." The blue-haired man recalled the woman he was worried about. Haley had said, "Is Asta really in Grandis? If so, avoid her as much as possible, Marquee." The blue-haired man said, "You seem to know the princess well. Do you know she's a summoner?" Haley said, "I know everything." The blue-haired man said, "Then why should I avoid her?" Haley said, "Because the work she's supposed to do, I've already done. She's a huge pain." The blue-haired man thought, "Although I don't quite understand, but should I use Asta for my own purposes?" This is the story of Casnatura, one of the 3 kingdoms. For a long time, the kingdom of Casnatura had only one royal heir. There were supposed to be 2 children, a son and a daughter, but the king suffered the tragedy of losing his young daughter. The young princess who had secretly left the palace to see a festival never returned. After 12 years of guilt and regret, the king miraculously found her again in an orphanage he was visiting. The miracle that befell Casnatura once again shocked the world. The princess he found again was the world's only spirit medium, Astarosa, the princess of Casnatura. The princess questioned angrily, "I can't believe it. They've sealed off the city. What on earth is the Cyril Church thinking? They're going too far." Cyril Van Thien analyzed, "If a thief was skilled enough to steal top-secret documents, he would have left the city long ago. The church must be hiding more about the stolen documents." The outer city of Grandis was sealed off due to the theft of top-secret documents. The reason they were here was because of a recent incident. The Marquee of Holt was exposed for excessive poaching of snow beasts. The matter almost became a dispute between the Kingdom of Holt and the Kingdom of Neve. To resolve this, the Princess of Casnatura personally came to Grandis in secret. But by the time she arrived in Grandis, the problem had already been solved by someone known as the Demon Marquee. Asta said to Cyril, "We're completely trapped. I came here without my family's knowledge, so I'm worried about getting back. When will the city be unsealed?" Cyril replied, "If you need me, I can get you out of the city at any time." "Asta, if you're in trouble, you must tell me." Asta said, "Thank you, Cyril." A knock came from the door. The servant at the door reported, "Someone from the main family is here. The head of the family is looking for you." Cyril clenched his fist. "Damn it." Cyril stood up. "After all that big talk, how embarrassing. I'm sorry to interrupt our conversation, but I must take my leave." Asta said, "Cyril, if you need help, please be sure to tell me too." Cyril replied, "It's all right. You don't have to do anything for me, Asta. Just being with you makes the troubles of my life and my painful origins seem meaningless." Cyril turned to leave. "Then I'll be going, Asta." Asta softly called his name, Cyril. Asta thought, "I can feel the sadness he's going through. Cyril must have a lot of troubles with his origins too. Until recently, I was no different from him. The label of an orphan seemed like it would follow me for life. I had to endure it all alone, without a warm family like others. But now, everything has changed, because I found my precious family and grateful friends again. They made me forget the difficult times. So I decided not to be trapped in the cave of my heart anymore. not to dwell on tragedy, because the world I once thought was cold and terrifying turned out to be so warm and beautiful after I stepped out of the cave. A voice shouted in the dining hall, "Madam, I saved a good seat for you over here." Micklin said to Asta, "It's a bit noisy in the dining hall. How about we eat outside?" Asta replied, "It's fine, it's not that noisy." Micklin said, "No, it's not that." Asta was startled by a commotion. People in the dining hall were gossiping. How could a black turkey do that on luck alone? The young heir of the Vanthian family is definitely the real deal. He was an illegitimate son his whole life, yet he snatched the heir's position in an instant. He used a woman to destroy the Duke of Winter's family, and later framed that woman as a villain and sent her to the gallows. To be able to lead such a terrifying woman must be good luck. A man said, "I had the honor of seeing the young master from afar once. He really has a face that could make young women swoon." Micklin said to Asta, "Madam, you don't need to worry too much. They say the young master of the Vanthian family tried his best to stop that woman, but the witch had already sold her soul to the devil. There was nothing he could do." Asta asked, "That woman named Haley, do you think she's dead?" Micklin replied, "Of course. No one can come out of the contaminated zone alive." The blue-haired man thought, I guess so. Suspicion starts from a small rumor. My money was well spent. Back in the depths of the Marin contaminated forest, a safe area, a terrain of the same height that a carriage could pass through. In the end, the only place with the shortest distance was here. We came to the southern part of the contaminated forest to build a new bridge. Haley asked worriedly, "Are we really going to risk an enemy invasion by building a bridge?" Ricard replied, "If necessary, we can blow it up. The real danger we face now isn't the church, but the food problem. You haven't forgotten that our family size has tripled, have you? Are you planning to let the children starve while we wait for the crops to grow?" Haley shouted in frustration, "I know. It's just that there are no good places left around here. Grandis is sealed off. We can't get involved with Selbin anymore. Although there are other villages nearby, we need a large amount of supplies. If we can't get enough food, we'll have to go to the next city. So, the southern region of Casnatura is the best option. Although the terrain is rugged and there's a river in the way, if we can overcome that, it's the country with the most stable trade and supplies." Haley made up her mind. "All right, let's build the bridge." And so, the new demon church was established. Thanks to the loggers' skills, the construction progressed smoothly. The happiest about this was my 100-year-old Kikyo. Kikyo said with teary eyes, "When it was just the two of us, I cried every night. I thought I'd have to take care of Lord Haley alone until I turned into a pile of white bones." Haley retorted, "Hey, get straight. I'm the one taking care of you." Kikyo continued to complain, "As an elf born in the contaminated zone, my life was miserable enough. But the savior I finally met was a hermit. Most importantly, he had a terrifying background of being a public enemy to the whole world for following a demon. But now, we have meat and butter that we'll never run out of. I have no more regrets in this castle." Haley said, "You shouldn't be satisfied with just that. Have you ever had beef bourguignon?" Kikyo asked in surprise. "What's that? I've never heard of it." Haley explained with a smile, "It's a very delicious dish. You can think of it as a beef, butter, and tomato stew." Kikyo drooled at the thought. Just hearing the name makes my mouth water. I really want to try it. That's my new wish for today. Haley said to Ricard, "When we go out this time, let's have Fatima make that." Ricard and I decided to go out again. We needed to stock up on food until the crops grew. The logger family said, "Our pickled food is enough. Please buy some fresh food. I want nails and thick rope." We also needed to buy materials for the loggers to build the bridge. Haley thought, most importantly, my Kikyo wants to eat it. If I can't even get that, I'm not worthy of being the lady of the manor. A few days later, perhaps for the second time, we reached Grandis more easily than last time. A guard asked, "Are your names Zeus and Hera? Your passes have been checked. You may proceed." If there was any slight difference, Haley shouted happily, "Thank you for your hard work. Let's go, Hera." Ricard replied, "Zeus." This time, we were proud to have legitimate identities. We borrowed the names of Greek gods. I wanted to be Hera, but Hera is the lady, and you are Zeus. Ricard said, "I like Hera. You be Zeus." Haley thought, when forging the identity documents, Ricard was so stubborn that he made the portraits look strange. Haley said, "Let's split up. I'm not confident in picking out ingredients, so I'll go to the general store." Ricard said, "Are you saying you'll get the nails and rope by yourself?" Haley said to Ricard, "Let's just go together." That was when the accident happened. A fierce gust of wind blew past. In the peaceful city of Grandis, a giant white bird appeared. The bird looked very familiar, just like the one on the cover of the original novel. The forest bird, Ventus. Haley thought, "Oh no, that bird is here." That meant the female protagonist was here too. She had light pink hair and a beautiful face. Before I read Haley's side story, she was my favorite character. Astarasa Casnatura. Haley had a premonition, and she was really here. Panicked, she grabbed Ricard and more main characters. Please. Ricard asked, what are you doing? Geez, why did you move? Haley rambled incoherently. Hey, some people are really nice, but they're only harmful to me. If that person was walking right in front of you, what would you do? Ricard asked in confusion. What are you suddenly talking about? Haley hurriedly explained, Ventus sneered. You're here. You vile demonic energy. It swooped down fiercely. Haley was terrified. Haley thought, why is it coming toward me?